All right, welcome. How are you guys doing? This is going to be a very interesting little discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it. We don't normally stream on Sunday evenings. It's not on my channel. It's usually for late night with the Gooch. But for those of you who didn't see, me and Spoon got to do a bit of a back and forth on X the other day, and now we're going to talk about that. So, Spoon, how you doing? Tell people who you are, what you do.
I am a man that seems to be annoying everyone these days, which is pretty much what I do in every other day. Hold on a second. What I have to do? I introduce myself.
Yeah. Go for it. It's very late his time, guys. He's getting up and around. There's about a 6 hour time difference. No worries, bud.
Yeah. Oh, it's 6 hour time. Oh, yeah. I know when you doing the thing earlier. I went, wait a minute. How did I get the math wrong? Oh, it's 2 more hours than expected. But
yeah, no, but it's almost 6:30 p.m. my time. It's past midnight for you, but that's all right. I'm sure that you can give us some of your intellectualism even in the day sleepy state you're in. But yeah, tell people who you are, and sort of what we had a bit of a disagreement about. I can pull up the X post and we'll see what where we can find some common ground or where we can disagree and then why we disagree. Go from there.
Yeah, I think my argument is different than literally everyone else's in this entire argument.
All right, what is your first of all to give people just an idea of what we're talking about? We're referring to the at least what I would refer to as religious zealotry in the gaming space or in this quote unquote Gamergate 2, Gamergate, whatever you want to call it, debate. There's infighting on the side that is against the left wing.
Right. I don't actually think it has anything to do with that.
All right. So what is your argument?
Okay, let me ask you, what do you think is Melanie's argument? And I'll tell you why I disagree.
Well, how do you know you can disagree until I tell you what I think her argument is? Her argument is honestly, her argument isn't the problem. By the way, her argument isn't the problem. Her argument is pretty simple. It is keep overly sexualized things out of gaming, or if you're not going to put it in gaming, I guess really that is what boils down to, is keep over sexualization out of gaming, because it's no different than LGBT stuff or tranny stuff in gaming. She doesn't want to see any of that and is demanding that all that be cut.
Okay, when you say demanding, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, if you look at the previous statements she had made, like, she is at this point, she is calling for gamers to rise up and reject sexualization the same way that we have rejected LGBT nonsense.
Okay, what does that mean?
So a demand among consumers, which goes to show she fundamentally misunderstands the argument to the problem we have, because we don't even have a problem with homo shit being in games. We have a problem with agenda-driven game creation. We have a problem with whether it be DEI, ESG, whatever you want to call it. The main issue we have is there are forces at work, be it consultation companies, be it just general fear of public backlash, because these companies only pay attention to analytics on Twitter, whatever the reason may be. There's a bunch of agenda-driven policies making video games. Left-leaning at this point, however, agenda-driven nonetheless. We want that out. Let the artists do whatever they want to do. Let the free market decide. Melanie has very much come out and made apparent that the way we reject LGBT shit, which we're only rejecting because it's forced, not because it's inherently bad, wants to also reject over-sexualization, which is not really a problem in gaming to begin with.
Okay, but that still doesn't involve the state. That's still just saying we should reject this as consumers. That's just a consumer choice argument. There's no force. She has no institutional power. She's just a chick with an opinion, much like you. No, it doesn't.
It does involve the state, and we have seen state-funded video games such as Dustborn and several others. When these consultation companies receive money from the state.
Yes, but that's not her argument. Her argument is not to get the state involved in the other direction.
No. Her argument is just, hey, we need to also quit making video games that are overly sexualized, and I think that's an incredibly disingenuous argument, given how A, the game that she was referring to wasn't over-sexualized, and B, her history of being A-okay with sexualization.
Okay, let me explain this to you. Melanie's biggest gripe is how the audience reacts to it. It's not the content. The reason I know this is because if you are going to convince me, or try to rather, that the one girl whose main thing is she liked Stellar Blade and Tomb Raider Apparently for this, she's a hypocrite. Yet also, she is going to somehow remove sexy characters from games, which would also include her own favorite character. I'm going to make fun of you because that doesn't make any fucking sense.
And that is why people have this issue with Melanie and are calling her a hypocrite, because it doesn't make sense, because this is such an about-face that has only happened over the course of the last month or so.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. That's not a hypocritical argument to me. Because
how is it not hypocritical to hold one belief for 3 years, and then once your side starts gaining traction, flip your opinion to go further with it?
Again, the argument is the sexualization is everywhere, and it is damaging the overall quality of a product because you're not targeting what is objectively good, you are targeting just what sells. I mean, Vex made the same argument, which is that if all you're concerned with is jiggle physics in an age where all you're concerned about is microtransactions and making dosh, you're just going to artificially create this market signal of just make titillating cheap shit, which again is like one of the reasons why gacha games sell well. They're popular, but it's not objectively good art.
I don't think that's. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that is an accurate assessment of the situation because there aren't.
But
go for it.
That is her argument, and the reason I know this is because I talked to her.
And
it's literally her argument word for word.
Maybe that is her argument word for word. Then she can come out and say it in a way that is not very easy for many individuals to misinterpret, because if so, she's just bad at portraying her message. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's say that is her point. I disagree that's her point. I think that she's saving face, but let's say that is her point. She's still getting that message out there very poorly, considering the vast majority of individuals that have been in her corner for the last 3 years have now turned against her based on what seems to be a hard heel turn in the opposite direction.
Okay, but that's everybody else's opinion. The way I look at this is just simply go, what is this particular individual saying? Because when I defended her and Dreads, I both went, okay, there's religious overtones to this perhaps, but you're still just customers arguing for what you would like to see in the content. If the market doesn't want this, it will go by the wayside and they will lose. At the end of the day, you're still just customers giving your perspective. That's it for me. There's nothing else more to it than that.
A perspective when, just like Mixer says here, or Mr. X says here, when she goes on her own channel and says that these individuals that play these games are losers, incels, demons, things to that effect, and loses well over 1,000 subscribers for it when she's attacking her own audience. That is not talking about the customers. That is talking about her own audience at that point. Like, you don't just attack your own audience, say all these inflammatory words that are not an accurate representation of what I would assume to be most gamers, by the way. And then say, oh, well, it's about the market. This isn't about the market. This is about her wanting to force a social change. She has said that Coomer games are just, or Gooner games, whichever, are just as damaging, she's talking about on a spiritual level, as homo nonsense in games.
Okay, but still, so what? She's still just a customer saying the shit. She can't change the market. She's just a customer with an opinion.
Right, and we are calling her out for a dumb and frankly hypocritical opinion, and now she cannot take that. After all the abuse she has dished out online, abuse I find very funny because I wouldn't actually call it abuse. I mean, inflammatory for fun here. But in general, basically, Melanie can dish it out but can't take it. For the longest time, she said shit that we all found funny, agree with, dropped the F slur, this, that, and the other. Like, oh, look at Melanie being Melanie. The moment she says something dumb, and we stay consistent in being that we dislike this, we also dislike this, you did this, so we're coming for you now, she can't take the heat.
Yeah, I just don't see it that way. I just see a chick who goes, this sexualization is degenerate. This degeneracy is really everywhere, and it's annoying. I get the same argument because I also see the excessive sexualization. Go like, yeah, this is damaging my product. I don't care for the religious argument, mainly because everyone that I've had a conversation with about this stuff, who is a fan of Melly in this case, they're not even Christians. They're just atheists. They look at this and go, yeah, this is objectively a bad market signal, and you don't get quality games with excessive sexualization. It's like the garnish of a dish. It adds spice to it, but it isn't the meat and potatoes.
I think most people would agree with that, though. So that's I don't.
Right. But that's my point, is I never looked at Melanie's argument as a giant social change. I just looked at when, if I were to apply this perspective to the market, all I'm seeing is a girl that just says, make the market more than just tits and ass, which I don't think is particularly contentious, because most people would agree with this.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to address the super chat. Thank you so much for the instruction. Hi, friends. Leon, have on good authority that... Sorry, so move on. It's a tough time being an elderly millennial woman.
Yeah, but you see, look right there. That's a target. That's targeting her age. I
No, that's
never targeted her
it's
age
funny.
or religion. But yeah, but here's the thing: when I look at people attacking this, almost everyone that I've seen had a go at either her appearance or her age or something else about her. I was the only one who actually spoke to the woman. Same thing I did with Dread, and I actually looked at them. What is your argument? I don't care about your appearance. I don't care what you stand for. I don't even care what you do. The same way I would look at a heroin addict who's getting high telling me, don't get high. You can say that's hypocritical, but the words that they're
No,
saying
no, no.
still
That
has
is not the
merit.
hypocritical part. And before we go further, I do want to just say, memes. Thank you so much. I've anytime someone says super chat, you get a clip, and you know what? I think this one is perfect for the situation.
I'd fuck one of the robot dogs.
There we go.
When did he say that? Context?
I don't even remember the context. I was drunk on that stream. We were talking about, I think we were talking about like Elon Musk and building like robot animals or something like that. We were talking about how sex bots are going to take over if we let things keep going the way they're going. Which
That's
is probably true. Which is a terrifying prospect. But no, back to the Melanie Mac thing. To be fair, there is a difference between an ad hominem attack, attacking someone based on again their appearance or based on their things they didn't say that you're going to attribute them to have said. Like, yes, obviously doing that is not a constructive way to debate, but also his name is the guy that sent that super chat. Their name Memes of Destruction. It was a joke. We can't sit here and do things like, for example, make fun of all the homos for being homos. And be like, look at their degenerate ass lifestyle. 12-year-olds cutting their cocks off. Look at those fucking losers. Like, we can't sit there and make jokes about them, but then say, but making jokes about Melanie is off the table. She's one of us. No, that's some fucking bullshit. That is hypocrisy.
Okay, but
what he said was clearly a joke just now. But you said people are having a go at her. Yeah, let people have a fucking go at her appearance. Jokes are jokes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, when they try to construct an argument against her, I've seen virtually no one actually talk about what is the merit of her argument. All the people that I have are all the ones behind the scenes who just went like, oh yeah, this is what she actually means in the marketplace. Like, yeah, and I went like, yeah, fair enough. Because I looked at it.
I don't care what anybody else has been arguing about. Right now, you and I are having a discussion. So what matters is what you and I are debating about, talking about. Now, I have an issue with her argument because her argument is, as far as I have read, and again, if she wants to unblock me and have a conversation with me, then you know what? Maybe we can talk. But until that time happens, her argument sticks out to me and reads to me as I have a problem with over sexuality in video games because it's just as degenerate as homo shit, and gamers should reject that just as much as they should reject LGBT stuff. And you know what? If that's the position you want to hold, that's fair. I'm going to disagree with it because I think that's a surface level basic argument. But if that's the one you want to have, that's fair. The issue I have is then with the blatant hypocrisy of saying things like Stellar Blade is okay, saying things like Final Fantasy is okay, then one vaguely optional or one optional vaguely sexual thing of a girl dancing in a free-to-play game sent her over the edge and triggered her when, again, that called it twerking. The character wasn't twerking to begin with, so she couldn't even get her terminology correct. Said she was wearing a thong. She wasn't. Couldn't get her terminology correct. She very much over-exaggerated and over-embellished a non-issue when it comes to gaming, when there is issues in gaming we should be talking about. And because of that, folks turned on her, and she does not have the mental wherewithal to understand the backlash, regardless of how nice many of us have tried to be in talking about it first. I didn't even cover it when this first went down because to me, I thought it was a non-issue, nothing burger that would blow over in a couple of days.
Okay. I saw the tweet and I went, that's a fairly innocuous thing to say.
Let me see if I can find the tweet and pull it back. Shit,
Vex just said, I'm not a metalhead. Fuck all, Vex.
Who cares what the aging childless white woman believes? Don't bother me, to be honest. It doesn't bother me, to be honest. I mean, to be fair,
I disagree. The fact that everyone has been losing their ape shit over this tells me that you do care. There's two things to me. Either you people are literally just jumping on board with this because it's easy content and it's easy to just fucking bash the one chick, or none of you have any fucking arguments.
But see, Cribbit Beats,
I think most people don't actually have a problem with this. It's just easier to throw her under the bus. Because I think most people in the sphere have fucking integrity.
Because she's shrieking from the rooftops. If you make yourself a target, which she has been doing, of course it is very easy to then come after her because she has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on a take that the vast majority of people in the space that she is a part of disagree with. And she's been doing it with such fervor that, yes, people are going to come after her and talk about it and make content about it. And frankly, Cryptic Beat says, She's a fan of Chainsaw Man. She shouldn't be a fan of anime manga with her stance. She has made her thoughts on her religion, her beliefs very, very apparent. So when there are at best inconsistencies, if I'm going to be gracious, and at worst straight up hypocrisy, it is fair to call that out, especially to somebody who has such a large platform and does have influence in the gaming space, in the culture war, in the anti-woke movement, whatever you want to call it. She does have space, influence, and power there.
I disagree with all of that. At the end of the day, you're just customers on the internet, and through pixels and words on your screens, you feel like you have power. But at the end of the day, none of you have any pull with production. None of you have any influence over what gets done. You're not multi-trillion.
If that's the case, then why have so many video
financial
game
firms.
companies, why have so many lead developers and CEOs come out lately saying, you know what? Fuck it, we're done with DEI. It's not selling. If that was the case, if we didn't have power, then those things would be selling and they wouldn't be putting a stop to this. But we now see several developers saying they're done with it.
Yes, and could it possibly be because it's just not profitable?
But why isn't it profitable? Because gamers don't want it, so gamers aren't buying it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't need to tell people that. The same way that in previous days before the internet, Sisterska went out of style because no one was buying it. You don't need customers telling you everywhere constantly, don't buy the shit. If the product isn't shit, or the product is shit, it just won't sell.
But if people do not realize, go on.
It'll just take longer. But at the end of the day, you're just going like, I don't like this.
And bingo, bango, bongo. That I agree with you. It will. This would have died out eventually anyway. But how much more? You and I both agree that this has been cultural degeneracy. So is there a problem with making any sort of content and trying to speed up the removal of said cultural degeneracy?
Okay, but I still just take that argument face value. I happen to agree. But at the end of the day, Melanie still, no gaming company is going to listen to her. Like, there's no gaming company that says we should listen to Melanie Mac the ASAP and do everything that she says. Like, that's, I still think even if you did that, you would still find a good game.
It's not about whether or not a gaming company will listen to her. It's whether or not she has amassed an audience of telling gamers or her fans or her followers or whatever you want to call them one thing, and leading them to believe one thing over the course of X amount of time, and then doing a seeming about face, which is effectively rejecting and turning on your audience with something that, frankly, goes against what you had been saying for the last 3 years that made these individuals her followers. And then when you were called out on that hypocrisy, denying that there's any sort of hypocrisy there. I mean, let's be real. She called for less sexualization in video games. She didn't say sexualization in video games is making to where developers are too worried about crafting the perfect ass instead of getting rid of bugs on launch. She didn't say that. She has said over sexualization of video games is just as demonic as trans stuff. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what she said. And then does have a point. Sarkeesian definitely significantly impacted gaming. Now, frankly, I don't think Melanie Mac is actually in the ins and outs of the industry to make the same impact, but it's not impossible. If you're talking, we're not hearing anything, just so you know. It got awful quiet. I've never known you to be quiet this long, so definitely something's up. Well, this is unfortunate. We may have lost Spoon, guys. Spoon, are you? Well, in the meantime, in the interim, I'm going to queue up this video here because this is why it is hypocrisy. Give me one moment. We'll wait for Spoon to come back. Now, this is a compilation that Smash JT put together. Whether you dislike Smash JT, doesn't really matter. Here is current Melanie versus 9 months ago Melanie and several statements. And hopefully Spoon's mic comes back and we can get this rectified. Actually, before that, I think there were some supers I missed. I want to go ahead and hit. There we go. Oh, maybe we got some. Lord Spoon has a point. I apologize for low blow. The proper argument would be you agree with SJWs. And then sketch for a twofer. You can defend SB and turn around to bash TFD. You can't defend Sweet Baby and then turn around and bash a TFD. I'm not sure what TFD is. I'm going to be real. My apologies. Spoon, do you know TFD?
I do not.
Okay, well, either way, memes and sketch, thank you so much. Truly do appreciate it, guys. You did not have to. Go ahead and throw this one out to you.
It's a party. The more, the merrier. Isn't that right, Si?
My IV.
There we go. All right. So here is first of all, Spoon, thank you for coming back. We're gonna go ahead and play this at any point you want. Oh, TFD, the Stellar Blade, the first assist, the first descent. Okay, thank you. Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
That was initialism. Yes, he is alive. So we're gonna play this at any point you want me to pause it. We'll go from there because this is what I mean by hypocrisy. This is her very recently in the last week or so versus her 9 months ago.
And I have the same stance on queers as I do these gooners. Is this anything pornographic? I would say no. Yes, what you're doing is shameful. Yes, I think this stuff is shameful and I don't want it in my entertainment because it's shameful and it's
right there. She is not talking about the market. She's not talking about what sells. She doesn't want it because it is shameful. She is using her own, I don't even, whether it's religious beliefs or not, doesn't even matter. She's using her own subjective moral guidelines to say, I don't want this, and those of you that do want it are bad and shameful.
Okay, and?
So if people reject that and people want to have opinions on that, since she is a public figure, I don't see the issue. It seems like you have a problem with people coming after her the same way we would come after Alyssa Mercante for having dumbass opinions or thoughts.
No. My opinion is merely just focused on how much power does she actually have. She's a chick with an opinion.
Thanks. I'll have to fix that afterwards. No, appreciate you. I didn't even realize it was misspelled. But again, you can't deny. Now, she might not have power in the industry, but she does have power in that she has a large platform. Anyone with a large platform has some form of power.
So what? So does Asmongold.
Yeah, Asmongold does as well. And I've made videos where I agree with him. I've made videos where I disagree with him.
And she has a tiny,
completely normal.
Yeah, she has a tiny platform compared to the rest of you. There's way more of you. This is one chick going like, I don't like this.
For the last 3 years, she has been, I hate to say on our side, because I mean, there's a lot of crossover and whatnot, but she's been on the same side. She's been on our same corner of the internet.
This is the thing. I don't give a flying fuck about the faction wars. I think the faction wars is just fucking cringe.
I mean, I agree with that. The faction wars are retarded, but at the end of the day, when you say there are more of us than there are of her, she has shared a platform with many of us and has been
okay, but so what? That doesn't mean her words are bulletproof.
Correct. Her words aren't bulletproof, which is why I think it is fair to call out the obvious hypocrisy. Say it again. Damn, did we lose Spoon again?
That's hold on a sec. That's not my end. There you go.
So while we wait for you to come back, William Richard says, why is it being just an opinion relevant? People are absolutely allowed to point out the opinion is bad and cringe. And yeah, I mean, again,
no one said that, and no one disagreed with that.
So what is it about Melanie that makes you go on this limb to defend, again, her for what many people consider a bad take? What is it about her take that you think warrants us to criticize her less, or why you don't agree with the criticism she's getting?
Oh, because her main argument was the excessive sexualization is cringe, and the main problem with her is how it's basically portrayed in everything and how people personally just consume it. Like, for example, I have no problem with any kind of titillating fan service myself, but none of you know what I like because I don't blast it everywhere.
I can say the same thing.
That's her argument, as is mine. Like, her argument to me was literally just, we don't care about the perversion, just do it in your private life. The same way that if I go on Twitter and I see some anime fag's bloody avatar and I see the Twitter timeline is just full of degeneracy and they post it at me, that makes me go, I don't want to see that shit. My main concern, this is what worries me, is that you have a load of people like myself who go, I don't care that it's there, just don't push it in my face. I think that's a fairly normal libertarian kind of thing to say. If you say then, I don't want to see this, and people shove it in your face repeatedly over and over again,
but she didn't say I don't want to see this. Hold on a second. She didn't say I don't want to see this, because there's the if you don't like it, don't buy argument. If she doesn't want to see it, don't like it, don't buy it. Fair enough. She didn't have to participate in the first Ascendant. She could have moved on. She could have muted the post, blocked it, whatever it may be. She decided to take a stance against a movement as a whole or an ideology as a whole, whatever it may be, and start calling anybody and everybody under the sun who does enjoy whatever this may be shameful, when, by the way, it didn't even apply to the vast majority of the game.
Okay.
And if her argument is let the market decide, this is a game that, by the way, is selling very well, so the market is deciding. That wasn't her argument, but even then she would be wrong.
I mean, the one just said, I would feel like a loser playing this.
No. Her argument about if her argument was
thong, that was her own words. Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, I like the fact that it upset so many people.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The fact that it upsets so many people. Look, I can get down on people. I love it when Alyssa Mercante upsets people. I love it when Melanie does it. People getting riled up on the internet is funny. However, when you double, triple, and quadruple down after you've been called out for your hypocrisy, and rather than acknowledging, okay, I fucked up. That is for calling out Melanie for. Go for it.
Yeah, I just don't see it as hypocrisy.
Well, then we'll keep playing this because I'm truly curious how you don't see this as hypocrisy when
because again because it's like the heroin addict. I don't care. Is there sexualization in games? Yes. Is it excessive? Yes. Does it damage the product? Yes. I don't care what the hell Melanie says.
If you're going to say that, first we have to figure out if we even agree or disagree on that, because I do not agree there's over-sexualization in the vast majority of video games, because frankly, if there was, we wouldn't have had this last decade of DEI slop of women looking like men and all these homo characters. So no, where's the over-sexualization in gaming right now, aside from a handful of games?
Let me explain it like this. This is what concerns me as a customer. The same way, this is something that V said in one of his arguments. Would you agree that if you took Stellar Blade and you put in like the early 2000s, it would be a blimp on no one's radar?
Yes.
Yes, right. And because it looks like every other game.
Correct. I would absolutely agree with that sentiment.
Yes, as would I. The thing is, if you take this and you remove the fan service and some of the game as well, and you starve people of this for like freaking years and years on end, and you suddenly throw something that looks like that era 10 years later, it's going to look like golden prize because people have been starved of this one thing for freaking ages. And in an age of OnlyFans and all this shit, that just looks like oomph, and people rush towards that thing and basically prop it up. And the reason I say this is because when that French IGN article came out, I was one of the few people, myself and Harmful Opinions, who read the bloody thing and went, you know, it's like 90% of this article is filled with glowing praise for the gameplay. But because they had one slight fucking criticism of E's physique in a game that was exclusively propped up for tits and ass, because I remember reading this thinking, is this what you people are bitching about? Everyone went ape shit because they weren't completely aligned with literally every single fucking thing of the marketing, which was just the tits and ass.
I'm not going to claim what everybody, because I did also read the same article and I covered it, and I can only speak to what I did when talking about this article. My issue was, dude spent, like you said, the majority of the article praising the game. However, because of the cultural and political politics at the time that we've been facing for the last decade, still couldn't help himself but throw in but it's still misogynistic because look at the looks here. It is because of the ideology attached to it, not because he's not on our side, but because the author could not help but continue to he knew damn well he couldn't praise this game without calling out the misogyny for fear of losing his job or being called right wing or whatever it may be. All that about Eve's looks didn't need to be in the article because it didn't affect anything whatsoever beyond, don't worry, readers, I'm still a liberal like you.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and Harmful pointed this out as well. It's IGN, it's Team IGN. God knows how many people wrote the fucking thing. It might have just been someone who's edgy for whatever crap and just need to shove the shit in. For me, I go, I'm still interested in the gameplay. That's first and foremost what I am concerned about as a gamer. Because all the fucking marketing was just boobs. And like, this is not make a game decent. This is just diddling fan service. I wanted to know what is the gameplay like. And when I actually bothered to do that, I got a shitload of bollocks for that. And I'm going, does anyone remember when games used to be about gameplay and not just tits and ass? And so my argument is, now that the excessive sexualization is like in hyper demand, because as you said, you've basically just starved the market of this for fucking years on end, the same way that you guys see DEI shit, the same way that if you see anyone that isn't white and male, and your immediate reaction is that's full of woke shit, right? That's pattern recognition from years and years and years of being exposed to this shit. Vex made this argument as well, that if you then remove that old market signal and you
We'll get back
replace
to
it with just the swing to the other side, you're going to see a load of people who just look at the tits and ass and assume that's just the market signal for the other direction. So the same people who will notice before DEI is shit there will notice the tits and go, "This is just cheap." And that's my concern.
I don't disagree with that,
That's
but that is not Melanie's
Yeah.
argument. So I'm gonna continue playing this because
Yeah,
that is not.
but see, this is the thing. That's my argument because that's
But
what
you,
I
but
was
you are here
defending.
defending. But you and I got
No,
into
no,
it
no, no, no,
over
no, 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 no.
Melanie's my
Yeah,
attack on
Yeah,
Melanie.
yeah, but okay, this is the thing. I keep saying this to people over and over again. You people defend the fucking person. I do not defend the person. I defend the take.
No, I'm attacking the
But all of
idea,
you-
not the person. At no point, minus. Let's be real, pretty fucking funny.
You're
Me and my
bringing
post
Melanie's
yesterday.
name
At
into
no
this.
point have I attacked Melanie based on her religion. Okay, first of all, openly Christian. I share the same religion as Melanie. I've not attacked her based on her looks. I've not attacked her based on her gender. I've not attacked her based on her age. My entire argument from day one has been this is a stupid fucking point. It is irrelevant. It makes no sense. It is, in my opinion, hypocritical, which we can continue to get to because I think that is the biggest problem is the hypocrisy. So when you say you people, maybe others have done that. I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with what I have done, which is consistently attacked her dumbass argument.
Okay, when you were attacking me for this, you said in the stream yesterday, Spoon thinks she's a good Christian girl.
Yes, talking off the cuff, saying ridiculous fun shit on a comedy stream. Yes, I did say that.
And I never my argument in any of my videos.
To be fair, I haven't watched any of your videos on this. I was cracking jokes. Now, whether there's a hint of truth to those jokes or whatnot doesn't matter. I'm saying ridiculous, dumb shit on a stream because that's what folks do when they're hanging around and talking to their buddies. SNH is a fun comedy stream that also talks about gaming in the industry and whatnot. So if you took offense to that, I'm sorry. That goes against your entire message of stoicism and males that you're preaching about all the time.
No, I'm just wondering, like, what was your argument? Because if all you're doing is just calling me simp, but you don't know my argument, that just makes you look like an idiot.
I couldn't have cared less about your argument in the moment because we were talking about Melanie and her hypocrisy. I was just making a joke.
Yeah, but my name was mentioned there. And it annoyed me because I just went like, these are just every other twats who just say the same thing. You just parrot the same talking points as the group. But whenever I actually present the argument, no one fucking listens.
If you want to talk about your argument, then by all means we can. But you've got to at least acknowledge that people can talk about, people can throw someone's name out in a joke. That doesn't mean it's 100% true. It's just that a joke. And I thought one of the main reasons for us pushing back on all this agenda stuff was that one of the first things they tried to do was censor comedy. And if you don't like the joke, okay, fair enough. That's fine. But don't sit there and pretend that a joke is an actual intellectual attack on your argument when that was never what it was. Because frankly, I don't even know, or at least at the time, didn't know your argument. It was simply a joke.
Okay, so then why is the whole fucking panel just saying simp like everyone else?
I don't know, nor do I care. We are individuals. I care about the individual, their argument, their take.
Yes, but this is the thing. If you're going to bring up my argument, if the whole freaking list of people there is mentioned, and then my name is singled out, and no one attacks my argument, and you just lump in with the rest of the people,
your name
I'm
wasn't
going to take
singled
offense
out.
to that.
We talked about the Quarter, we talked about John F. Trent, we talked about John De La Rose.
In that clip, I am singled out.
Yeah, because your name got brought up in a super chat, and we were reading the damn super chat. Like,
yes. And nobody else.
I'm sorry that some random viewer threw your name in a super chat, and that dude, you and I are both in the streaming game. You get super chats. Like, I'm sure there have been names thrown out and super chats on your shows, and you've rolled with it and made jokes or said a piece or whatnot. You can't tell me that your audience has never sent someone a super chat with someone's name in it.
Yeah, we don't do that on our streams.
I'm sorry. I know. I'm going to call bullshit. There's no way that with your 56,000 subs, however many people you get in your streams and whatnot, that you don't have people in your chat that are idiots. Even the most intellectually amazing individuals have retards that follow them.
Yeah, not in our streams. We don't do that. We tend to discuss news.
I'm sorry. That's disingenuous. There's literally no way. It's statistically impossible.
Okay, like who?
What do you mean, like who? I don't.
Which names?
Whether it be something political
our
at
thing
the
is,
time.
Yeah, but our political things is not really other fellow content creators. It's not what we do.
I didn't specify. I didn't specify content creators. I said someone of note, someone with a name. No different than no
Right.
different than if Dave Chappelle makes a joke about a fucking basketball player. That's a person on the
Yeah, but
platform who's well known,
yeah,
has a name.
yeah, okay, right. But see, those are people that you know and you can discuss. Whereas my name is there. I'm like, okay, does
Wait,
anyone
can we not
actually know
discuss you?
my
Do you not have
argument?
a public platform with public opinions? Are you not appearing on a public show right now to talk about their opinions? What makes
Yeah,
you or
yeah,
Melanie or anyone off the table for discussion?
that's fine. But I would like it if people actually know my friggin' argument, because the same thing with Smash JT is when they were arguing, like nobody actually knows what I said.
And
It
that's why we're here to have this conversation. Again, you've
yes,
said that your
yes,
belief is that Melanie is talking about the market and that everybody is flipping over nothing because she's talking about the market. I'm saying, based on this video right here, which we haven't yet finished,
yes.
she is not talking about the market. She's talking about her own subjective moral beliefs, and that is hypocritical. Now,
Okay,
if
her
I've got your
thing.
argument wrong, feel free to correct me, but that is what your argument has seemed to be thus far.
Yeah, the argument from her was, I don't want to see the degeneracy. For her, the argument was, how do you enjoy it? The same way that I can also appreciate a game, but I don't go gagas over it and post like degenerate shit on my fucking Twitter timeline. I can
The
get on board
argument
with that because I do the same thing. Like, and nobody knows what kind of females I like in a game, except for Jack from Mass Effect, right? But everybody knows it's not her appearance that I like; it's the fact that she's a psychopath. For me, it's just a case of, can you just appreciate your woman with like a sense of decorum and not like a beast? And that's really my entire argument. I actually have nothing else to say to that. That's this the entire perspective. It's just, can you appreciate without going like ape shit degeneracy all over the place? Because it's kind of gross just seeing this all over the fucking place, and it doesn't make a game better. It makes the game just
whether
like
it makes a game
titillating, and it's
better or
just
not
eh.
is irrelevant. Her argument was
No,
it is
I'm telling you
no,
what the problem is from her point of view, because I literally speak to the woman. And you ask me, like,
and
why did
that's
I
all
defend this
well and
take?
good. And
This
if
is what
that
I
is
defend.
at this point, I would have to trust that that's the case because that is not the argument she has been making publicly. When she publicly says it is shameful, when she publicly says to her own audience that people that like this are losers, are gooners, when she loses over 1,000 subs in a day because she attacked her own audience, she's either one of two things. She's either being disingenuous or she's making her argument very poorly to the point where it is turning off all these individuals that used to support her, follower, whatever it may be. So she can tell you whatever she wants privately when she's got the time to sit there and think about what she wants to type out and craft it meticulously so that you'll understand. That's all well and good. But if she cannot do that in a way that reaches a mass audience, if she cannot do that off the cuff in a way that keeps her fucking followers, then she has fucked up in making her argument. Her argument has been, it wasn't, I don't want to see it, because if you don't want to see it, if you don't like it, don't buy it. It's a very obvious thing. Her argument is that it is moral and cultural degradation. She uses the word shameful. Now, whether it is or it isn't doesn't really matter. The point is, that's an argument she made that people don't like and people are coming after her for. And frankly, I do think it is a bad argument because you're using subjective morals to try and impose the way the gaming and the way that games should be produced, what we should see in games, the whole nine, especially considering we don't actually see a lot of over-sexualization in modern day games. Like you said, we were filled with it in the mid 2000s, then it stopped. Now, when we get it back in these handful of games, does it look like is this something special? Sure, it shouldn't, but it does because, like you said, we've been starved for it. Damn it, we lost Spoon again. The point is, her argument is about morals, and I don't care about moral arguments when it comes to gaming. I care about... Welcome back. I'll let you go if you got anything else for it before we hit play on this video.
There we go. Why is this stream crashing in and out?
I have no idea. It's been fine on my end. Also, mad shout out to all 145 of you guys watching right now. Thank you so much. I think it was a super chat or two that we missed. We're gonna go ahead and hit those real quick, and then we'll keep playing this video.
It's kind of weird
Hero
because most
Culture
speed
said
tests is
Melanie
fine.
standards. What's that? Let me hit these spoons because I want to make sure we give the audience what they want. Melanie standards, to quote, perversion is really laughable. She states that she thinks queer people existing is degenerate. Therefore, her standards are really questionable, in my opinion.
I agree with that statement, by the way.
I don't think their
I'm not saying
existence
this
is
is having some
degenerate. I
friends
think
of
that
them.
what they choose to do is degenerate. But you can have homos that never once fucking butt fuck, and that'd be fine. They just in their head want fucking dude. And then William Richards, this cat just hit you with, that's not her argument, it's my argument, and I don't defend the person, I defend the argument, in the same paragraph.
I didn't even know what that meant.
Basically, you were saying he's stating that but you were conflating her argument, your argument, not attacking the person. Either way, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to play this video because, again, you and I seem to be hell-bent on disagreeing on what is or isn't hypocrisy. I need you to adequately explain to me how what she's saying is not hypocritical.
I don't care about the hypocrisy. That's your judgment. I couldn't give less of a fuck.
But then why did you and I go in this massive back and forth on X where we disagree?
Tell me.
We want to have this debate. You posted something that I disagree with. I responded, and from there we had
mental midgets.
Yeah, I call people like John Delarose a mental midget. I think he is. John F. Tritt a mental midget. I think he is. Melanie Mack a mental midget. I think she is. I'm sorry if you have an issue with calling them mental midgets, and if you're wondering why I think about them, we can move to that portion. But yes, I do think these individuals are mental midgets.
Why?
Because they are looking through anything and everything through the guise of religion and trying to moralistically force their viewpoint on the rest of the world by stating that it's objectively correct.
But they can't do that.
I mean, they do that. Now, maybe you believe they can't be successful at it, but they do that. When every single argument they make comes from a religious standpoint, that's a bad way to make an argument. And if you're making it,
can't force make a good argument, that's just their opinion.
Whether they force it or not doesn't matter. A mental midget is just a fucking funny way to say they're an idiot. I think JFT, I think JDA are morons. When John Delarose comes out and says Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is woke because you play as Zelda, I think that's an idiotic take. So yes, I think these guys are idiots. I mean, I don't really know
How are they forcing it?
When you have entire websites, I said they're attempting to force it, mind you. When you have entire websites that claim to be part of this, do you want me to explain? An attempt to force, as in they're attempting to change your mind through very pretty words, through basically lies and propaganda. Now, maybe force is the wrong word. Maybe I should say they're trying to propagandize individuals. They're trying to evangelicalize individuals. Fair enough. If you don't like the word force, again, at this point, we're getting into semantics. We're splitting hairs. The fact of the matter is they make disingenuous arguments about video games when, let's be real, I don't even think these individuals play video games in effort to try and win a culture war because it is both socially and financially relevant to them. It behooves them to say and do whatever the right-wing anti-woke side of the aisle will eat up like fucking Christmas cookies, and then along with it, they'll throw in their religious stuff to either morally validate themselves or try and convert you or whatever it may be. I think that is a terrible way to A, run a business, and B, win an argument.
I'm still not hearing force other than this is their opinion.
Again, we're getting into semantics with force. My point is...
No. There's a massive difference. Force is coercive. To simply say, I don't like this is not forceful in any way. That's just an opinion. Force implies you have institutional power and you are going to make someone believe this.
I think these individuals want institutional power. When you have John F. Trent straight up saying, yes, they do. When we have John F. Trent straight up saying, we will ban your porn, we will make sure XYZ happens. When he is trying to use state power, which JFT has effectively bowed down to right-wing government saying become our god emperor, which you might be okay with given your monarchist stance. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is JFT wants his religion. He has stated that he would be okay with a theocratic state. He would be okay with a Catholic state. That would be institutional power. That would be force. And he is trying to edge in that direction with the words he writes and the things he espouses. Now, if you agree with that, fair enough. If that's the lifestyle you want to live, fair enough. But that would still be institutional power. That would still be by force.
Yeah, okay, but what power does he have? Does he have anybody's ear? Does he have any power whatsoever?
Well, right now, they have no power, but they are openly acknowledging they want that power. And I have problems with individuals that even want that power. Whether they have it or not, I have problems with individuals that want that power.
Yeah, but I just don't see the world that way. I just look at these people and go, yeah, you don't have any power. You're just like a person being edgy on the internet. I just don't take it that seriously. That's
20 years ago, trannies didn't have power. 20 years ago, trannies didn't have power, and now they fucking effectively rule media. And frankly, I know a whole lot of people that believe that there's a cabal of Jewish people that run the world. How did the Jewish people get that power? Whether it's true or not, the point is people can get power. They might not have power right now, but people can get power, and it's very, very easy to nip it in the bud by calling it out and drawing attention to it early so that it's not being done shadowy behind the scenes towards people who aren't paying attention.
Yeah, okay. And if they don't get power, who does?
That's an excellent question. The next person who comes up for the last 15 years, we've seen the wokies gain power. Now they're slowly starting to use it. It's going to be usurped by somebody else. And if it's going to be usurped by the religious zealots, I would like to do anything, at least in my minuscule power, to try and bring awareness to that and stop that, because I think that one is just as bad as the other.
Well, considering some of the best games we've got in the 90s, I'm not.
Say that again?
Considering some of the best games we got was during the religious panic, I'm not really that bothered about it. I personally think it's massively overblown.
The satanic panic, yes, we got some of the best games during the satanic panic, but we also did have schools. We had schools that did in fact ban Dungeons and Dragons, schools that did ban heavy metal music, schools that did ban Magic the Gathering.
That's not gonna make a comeback, dude.
Huh?
That's not gonna make a comeback. Let's be real.
I'm gonna be real. I don't know. I would like for you to be right, but I do not have faith that the satanic panic would not make a comeback.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, I wish it did, because we had way better shit back then.
Yeah,
let's be real. Come on. Like back in the satanic panic era, you had like the best fucking games and music. Like late 90s was like the best shit.
I completely agree to that, because there were people who were pushing back against it, using their artistic freedom to push back against it. And therein lies my worry, because back then there was an avenue for artistic freedom and integrity that has largely been quashed by the woke. And I'm wondering, and I think it's truly a fair and valid concern, that if we let these religious zealots or the right wing or whatever you want to call it rise up and take the same level of power as the wokies did, they will also stifle artistic integrity. I don't give a fuck if you put pro-God messages or pro-tranny messages in your games, as long as the artist wanted to do it, and then let the market decide. That's my argument. That's not what Melanie is saying. That's not what JFT is saying. That's not what JDA is saying. And the list goes on.
You all sound like monarchists. Seriously. It's like, it's a really top-down state enforced power. I'm like, this is not how you guys work. I find the entire argument to be very funny, and I think people sound far too paranoid. That's just my perspective, because when I look at these things, like, none of these people have any institutional power. Like, this fear of right-wing comeback, if you just look at the trajectory of America, like the last 60 years, this is not going to 180 in the other direction in your lifetime. I'll fucking guarantee you that.
No, but here's the dealio. Many of us have families, have children. So even if it's not in our lifetime, it could be in theirs. It could be in the next one. I mean, let's be real. This is a long play game. Just the institutional power grab from the woke left started in the 60s. It started in the JFK era, and they didn't manage to fully take control until roughly 2012. So clearly it was a long game. It's not conspiratorial. You mentioned pattern recognition earlier to state that that very same thing could be happening from the opposite side of the aisle. Yeah,
but no, there's no real right-wing movement in America.
Honestly, you were correct. The MAGA movement is different than the right-wing movement, but at the end of the day, this is supposed to be about the Christian zealotry problem in Gamergate, and
there isn't one.
If there isn't one, then why is Melanie Mac and JDA and JFT and whatnot all throwing shade and slinging mud at individuals like us who we've relatively aligned with for the last, really, since the original Gamergate? Now that we finally
how many Christians do you see making a comeback?
Define making a comeback, because I mean, I think a lot of
making YouTube channels. Like how much of like Christianity is growing on YouTube, like in any capacity whatsoever.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I actually don't consume very much anti-woke content on my downtime because I want to influence my own opinions.
Yeah, but you see, that's my point. There is this.
No, I'm saying I don't know. There might be. I just don't know. I got a friend named Aaron Aquanis who does a religious YouTube channel. That's the only one I know of, but that's because he's my friend. I support him.
Yes, and even look at Melanie's biblical channel versus her main gaming one. It's like massively smaller. So like this fringe, this hyper fringe movement that you guys are so paranoid doesn't exist. This is largely a creation of your own imagination.
But no. Whether it exists or not doesn't alter the fact that you've got relatively normal individuals, relatively normal Christians like myself, or relatively normal apolitical, atheistic, agnostic individuals that just want to let the market decide. And that's all we've been fighting for, is artistic integrity. Let the market decide. So when you do have these individuals who are prominent, who do have platforms, come out and say, okay, we've taken a lot of dubs over the course of the last year and a half. Now let's up the ante. That is a net negative for everything that we've been fighting against for the last roughly 10 years, if you want to count Gamergate 1.
I'm going to be honest, dude. I really don't care that if there's one girl on the internet calling people degenerates. That's really not a concern to me. I
care if for the longest time she claimed to be in quote unquote our space, and for the time before that, she was herself an admitted wokey. Like at this point, I cannot take anything she says with any sort of consistency or believability because of the consistent flip-flopping and because of the hard stances that they're taking. Oddly enough, taking these hard stances after we've already got so many W's, again, upping the ante and doing so in a way that has burned a lot of people on both sides. Like at this point, she has set fire to both sides. That is a bad move, regardless of it.
I just don't care in the grand scheme of things. I just go, hey, look, it's a girl with an opinion. She's called people degenerate. She doesn't like the excessive degeneracy. Neither do I. And that's about as far as it goes for me. Like everything else about the hypocrisy and all that shit and people throwing shade and all that crap, I'm like, I don't care about any of this. I look at this and go, how much influence does she have?
Many of us do.
Yes, that's fine, but I don't care about your arguments. I look at this from my perspective and go, how much power does she have? Not many. She's a chick with an opinion. Is there excessive degeneracy? Yes. When I say that, and the first thing is, what about her hypocrisy? I'm like, I don't care about that. I just look at that statement in and of itself in isolation, go, do I agree with this? Yes or no? The person saying it is not a concern to me. The same way that I've defended Walsh when he said,
the person saying it should be a concern to you.
Why?
Because looking at statements in isolation, you could look at, we've seen this done like game shows. Someone will put up a quote from Hitler and a quote from Donald Trump and not tell you which one is which, and then they'll have to guess who it was because the statement in isolation sounded all pretty and frilly. Turns out one statement came from a dude who, had his regime murder 6 million people, and the other one came from a guy who lowered taxes and introduced tariffs. The person saying it does matter when their overall past actions matter. Looking at words in isolation literally leaves out all historical context that should be used to form an opinion.
Yeah, that's not how I see the world. I've looked at statements of Hitler that
So you don't look at history for pattern recognition, is what you're saying, because that is exactly what I just described.
No, I just look at one person and go, is this take true, yes or no?
And do I agree with the statement, yes or no? A bad take, which is fair, but also look at their past history. Is there a history of bad takes? If you're going to put your trust in someone, whether we like to admit or not, individuals, they're sheep. They will like to follow people who are perceived as leaders. So when you've got somebody who is an attractive female with a platform talking about video games, which is the largest entertainment industry in the world, there's going to be a lot of people that would look to her to be some sort of thought leader. And so when she comes out with retarded takes and you look at the history of this individual, it is enough to call things into question. Yes, you should absolutely look at the history of the individual when you're basing it.
Now, that's interesting because that just tells me you want her influence.
No, I'm just talking about how history works.
No, but you're saying this person has institutional power. I'm just telling you, she's just a person with an opinion. She can't influence the market. I don't
think she can. I don't think she can, but I do think there are individuals that do think she can. Yes, I absolutely think that amongst her hundreds of thousands of subs, there are subs that and followers and fans and people that do think she has power, which is dangerous for them to think. I agree with you in that she has no power. I'm not worried about you and I. I'm worried about
the people who think this, what can they do?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure what any one individual can do, but once you get enough people together that think a certain way, you can see history start to shift. We've seen that all throughout history. When you get people ideologically aligned and a large enough mass, they do have the power to change the course of history.
Okay, but what is her followers going to do?
Your mic
out. Different games. Problem, what are her followers going to do?
I assume her followers are going to, at this point, there's a game that has tits and ass in it. Melanie said not to buy it. We're not going to buy it. Maybe a really great game does fail. And so the market the developers go, well, shit, this didn't work either. Let's go back to this DEI stuff. Now, is that an extreme example? Sure, but that would still be a problem. If we are trying to basically bring gaming back to what it was in the mid 2000s, which in my opinion was probably the apex of gaming, and all we want is artistic freedom, it is very important that the good video games succeed and that the bad ones absolutely fail, flop, and reject. So if there's a potential good video game out there that's got loads of press, and then Melanie or someone else in any sort of platform or whatnot come out and say, don't play this game, titty's bad, and their army of followers don't think for themselves and instead say, person I like said thing bad, so I agree thing bad, and thing flops, great. Now we're not going to get sequel or other developers learning from it or whatnot that could bring us back to what we enjoyed in the mid 2000s. Like, do you play games out of curiosity? Are you a gamer?
It's been a while. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption at the moment.
Red Dead Redemption. That's Rockstar at its peak Rockstar.
Yes.
When you look at Grand Theft Auto 6, do you think, hey, there's a chance that this could have an ideological bend to it that wasn't in past Rockstar games, and that is a problem?
Yes.
Okay. So we are aligned in that regard, and that, again, I really don't actually see why you have an issue with my argument or my take in that people who have gained followings, such as the wokies, for example, the vast majority of faceless woke individuals on X have no power. But when Rockstar or Square Enix or whatever looks at analytics and they see a bunch of people just saying they'll buy a game because there's a gay character in it, they put more gay characters in it because they think that Twitter is real life. If you see that ideological shift on the opposite end, even if it takes 5 to 10 years to get there, we're just going to see the same cultural degradation just from the other side. I don't like that.
Yes, and also if she has more followers and people listen to her, that means she's influencing the market from her end. She will win.
And that is why it is worth trying to call out and nip in the bud. And again, if she had a good take, I would have no problem with that.
Okay, but here's the thing. Who are you to say that her take is bad? That's just your opinion.
Right. It is my opinion. It's my opinion versus hers. And that's why you get the marketing side. You have you question people's opinions. You bring them on platform. You talk. You debate the whole nine. I mean, that's what we're doing. Is people are going to walk away from the you and I's conversation with either their mind changed or their mind reinforced. So yeah, we're just talking about somebody's opinion.
Yes, but for me, what you just described is like you are fearful that her followers will listen to her and change the market. Correct?
If not her, somebody, yeah. I'm 100% fearful in a change in the market that goes too far in the other direction, just like what we had for the last 10 years of the left. Yes.
Right. But if that's what the market decides, like if she just said, hey, look, we don't want to see this stuff, and they produce another game.
No, I'm talking about, let me rephrase. I'm talking about an artificial shift in the market. I'm talking about these marketing companies, the people at PR at Square Enix or whatnot, just looking at nameless, faceless numbers on X and thinking that that is the real world. Because that is what happened in 2012 all the way up to now, is that they didn't actually have, they weren't looking at people's opinions. They were looking at keywords, running those keywords through software to find out, all right, how many times was this word used? How many times was this word used? And they were tailoring what they thought the audience wanted into their games, when in all reality, it didn't actually reflect gamers.
Yeah, okay. So let's just say a bunch of people watch Melanie and agree with that, and she can tank games. I just think that's not, her audience is not big enough for that, but
and yeah, Jay, you are correct. Participants in the free market are allowed to be incompetent, which is why I feel like it's very important to try and show people fair, balanced arguments, whatever it may be, to try and raise the competency of the free market. Because yeah, people buy dumb shit all the time. How many times is someone going to buy a pair of gloves because Michael Jordan endorsed them or something?
Okay, so just out of curiosity, if we go by Melanie's argument for that, how many of you played a game that she promoted that you guys think is actually good or bad? That you disagree with?
I can't think of a game I played she's promoted that I didn't already like. I played Tomb Raider growing up. Obviously, didn't know who Melanie was at the time.
Okay.
I can't think of a modern game she's promoted that I've also played. But her and I just had different tastes in video games. So
let's go with that. Let's just say that she's a hypocrite because she plays these degenerate games. These degenerate games that she chastises other people for, but you guys like. Right? You with me so far?
Are you saying, let's say she plays them of her own volition or plays them for her audience? Because I think it does make a difference.
She plays them for the audience.
Okay, continue.
Okay, and they may be slightly degenerate, but she still likes them, and they still sell. Do you have a problem with that?
As long as she acknowledges the degeneracy and says like, "Oh man, I'm not a fan of this, but if you guys like it, whatever. I would have done this differently." If there's no moral attempt to change things, if she is not calling her audience shameful or calling people who disagree with her shameful, then no, I got no problem. My problem is with her approach. I may disagree with her stance, but I don't even have a problem with her stance. I have a problem with the approach.
Right, because I just look at it as with an opinion. Like if she were to say to me, "Spoon, drinking is really bad for you," I would just go, "Yeah, thanks for that, love, but I'm still gonna drink." Like
Yeah,
okay, maybe this is
but
me,
if she was,
but
but if what she was trying to do was say drinking is bad, we need to get rid of it on a cultural level because it's cultural degradation. I would say, one,
I
fuck you, freedom of choice.
I
But second, we saw how prohibition went down.
yeah, but okay, here's the thing: if she were to be pro shaming it, I'd be okay with that.
What again? Being pro shaming drinking. Asmongold is pro shaming gambling. I used to be a fucking semi pro gambler. Like I still like Asmongold. I disagree with his take on that.
Right.
Pro shaming it is different than trying to start a cultural and or social political movement to actually get rid of it, to change. Basically, let's use abortion as an
I don't
example.
see. I don't see the girl who's a massive fan of Tomb Raider trying to get rid of sexy women in gaming. I just don't see because it would remove her own character, which is an asinine argument to make.
But see, and therein lies the problem, Spoon. That's what I'm trying to say is that you're right. It would. Her own statements conflict with her favorite character.
Okay, so did you guys just maybe think that? Do you think she's stupid enough to advocate for the destruction of her own favorite titles?
I'm worried she's gone down that route because of her her religious zealotry at this point. Yes, I think that she
Right.
is.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
think
Now,
that.
okay. Now, just try and follow with me on this. Do you not think that if I go by my argument that she said to me, it's just that the problem is the perversion's excessive, that a person who plays this game but can still control their urges and go, this is a nice, attractive female aesthetic, and just plays the game, that is a fairly normal thing to do?
Again, that is a completely fair statement, but that is not what she said publicly. If that's what she told you in private, fair enough, but that is not what she said publicly.
But this is my thing. I'm telling you, this is what she actually thinks. So my whole point was just to go, oh, is this what she says? Oh, that's fair enough. And that's basically where the conversation is.
And therein lies, if that is what she thinks, you know what? That's a far more fair take. Come out and say that. It's not that hard.
Yes, I will say with that that's something I would be a bit critical. Like, Melanie, if you just said that, you would get a lot more people on your side. Because like when you said that to me, I went, you should kind of tell people that, because a bunch of people seem to be very paranoid about her, and I'm laughing my ass off because like maybe it's because she told me that in private, so I kind of know her stance. But I saw the same stance with Dread, and when everyone was freaking the fuck out, I went, okay, this is one girl with an opinion, and this is what she actually thinks. Like I could clearly see this argument from her. So when everybody was freaking out, my mind immediately just went, okay, here's an example. There was a post saying that, what's the difference between her and Anita Sarkeesian except for window dressing? And I went, okay, the one woman is massively astroturfed, was actually trying to change the content. The other one is apparently a hypocrite for playing Stellar Blade and like in Tomb Raider, but also she wants to get rid of sexy females in games, whilst this would degrade and remove her own favorite female characters. I just went, if you pitch this to me, I would go, you're an idiot because that doesn't make any sense. Something either when
people with large platforms are idiots, though, Spoon. You said so yourself. There are a lot of people out there that are idiots. What would preclude Melanie from being one of those idiots?
That's my, because that was never her argument. Like that's the whole thing. That because when the woman just said she does
personally,
not,
maybe that wasn't her argument. Publicly, that was her argument.
Now maybe that's what I see.
You the grace of saying maybe she failed at articulating it. Fair enough, but that's still the argument she made, even if it was a very poorly worded argument. That's still the argument she made, which has caused a lot of backlash. And instead of recanting and saying, "Hey, I didn't word this properly, my bad," she's decided to double, triple, and quadruple down, which goes to show either A, she really is dumb, or B, she's just too prideful to admit she fucked up. Either way, that's a problem.
Okay, do you ever just think that, given that this is what I know her argument is, this is maybe the reason why I defend her?
And I got no issue with you defending her. People are going to defend. I mean, I'll be
Yes,
real. I've
but
defended.
you see, this is
go
the
on.
argument that she gave to me, and therefore I will defend that argument because I think that's just a fairly sane thing to defend. That's really it for me.
And by all means,
I think the
you
entire
can
thing is funny.
you can defend that
Yes.
argument, but will you also have the which you have done, mind you, had the mental wherewithal to acknowledge the argument she made publicly was a bad argument. You have done for her and her argument, which she hasn't even done for her and her argument. So if she can't do that,
Yes.
why should people take her seriously? We don't need to fight her
Well-
battles for her. She's a big girl. She can do it herself.
Yeah, but this is the thing. When I defended her, that's the argument that I make. I don't defend the one that she made. I went like, this is what she's saying. And that's what I
And
do.
unfortunately,
I try to.
well,
Yeah, but this is
while
the
I
thing.
will take-
When people freak the hell out over her public take on it, I go like, no. This is what she's actually saying. Ignore that version. I'm telling you, people, this is what she actually meant. Her opinion here doesn't matter. What matters here is mine.
Why should we take your private words that we can't prove over what she publicly said? Because I can, as an individual, give you the good grace and say, all right, fair enough. Maybe she did say that. However, why should anybody listen to you or trust you or believe you when she has got loads of
Why would
public
I
facing
lie?
history? I mean, there's a million ways people lie. People accuse me of taking Smash's side. I'm about to explain. Because you're friends with her, because you have a relationship with her. Now, would you do that? I don't know. People accused me of taking Smash's side over Melanie's because Smash is my friend, completely ignoring the history that I've been against Smash on several issues. People will frequently go to bat for their friends, the people they've got relationships with, because that's what in their heads a good friend should do. I disagree with that sentiment, but people do that.
Right. Well, I will happily say that and tell people, hey, look, go to Melanie and tell her, did Spoon say this? She will say yes or no.
And frankly, if Melanie wanted to have a conversation with anybody about this, and she has been dogpiled so much about it, she could do it. I mean, obviously you can't speak to what she's thinking, but maybe you've spoken with this. Why not actually come out and have a conversation with people that disagree with you instead of just hiding behind the people that do agree with you, like the Quartering, like JFT, things like that? That comes off as a weak, cowardly, feminine move.
Well, she is a girl.
I mean, that is true, but she's also a girl who's very much been very bullish and aggressive towards people she disagree with. So I mean, it's again, there's
I agree. There's inconsistency there. Yes, I will agree with that. But from my main thing is I just look at this in a much more broader perspective, which is what is her whole argument in the grand scheme of things is not even to do with gaming, really. It's a broader social take on culture in general. It just happens to be where gaming manifests. And so I sort of look at it from that perspective and go, yeah, there's actually some merit to this, because at the end of the day, I, as a gamer, am mainly concerned that the cheap sex signal is going to be the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction. And my main concern is that's going to dampen the quality of future products, and I would prefer we don't fucking suffer just a massive polar reaction to the last 10 years, because I would prefer games to be actually more than just tits.
Well, real quick, I want to hit some of these supers and whatnot, because they've been piling up, and there might be things that folks have that you might want to address. I want to address, but first things first. Gooch came in within 5 Words of Paradise memberships. Gooch, man, thank you so much. You know exactly what we do when you come in with this. It means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Harder, Leon, harder.
Bingo, bango, bonga. Truly appreciate you, brother. We got Caledon Schuster here. Spoon, let finish the thought. Shut your mouth. Now, I mean, to be fair, me and Spoon been interrupting each other. That's how debates and dialogue go. I appreciate you going to bat, but yeah, no, he and I have been interrupting each other, so it's not just fair to call Spoon out for it. I've also been interrupting him.
It's fine.
Rolando A. Ramirez, member for 3 months. Spoon is the first Descendant a Gooner game. Good question. Do you think it's a Gooner game?
You know, I have a question for people. What defines this?
What, Gooner or?
Yeah, because from what I can see, it's more dependent on the audience rather than the game itself. That's my perception.
Once again, I would actually agree. That's one of the things that we're going to agree on tonight. People can say that what's that fucking Chinese game? Zenless Zone Zero, a Gooner game, which has got cute anime girls in it and whatnot, and there's fucking jiggle physics. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would take a Gooner game as like one of those like furry porn games on the recesses of Steam.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are very obvious Gooner games. But if it's just a game with a story and hot women, I'm sorry that I don't see it as a Gooner game.
That's every other game to like 2010 prior.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So when people say that phrase, see, that to me is a phrase for a moment in time, because it describes like a reaction of people to a certain kind of titillation factor in a game. Like if the main thing that the game is sort of known for is just that, then I would say it's not so much the game itself, it's how the audience portrays the characters in the game.
Okay. Now, to go back to that, if that's the main thing the game is known for, this goes back to individuals like Melanie having a platform. When she shared, because let's be real, First Descendant ain't exactly like the most mainstream numero uno game under the sun. It's no Call of Duty, it's no Mario Brothers. So when someone with a large platform like Melanie Mack shares this single image or single 3-second video from the game with literally no context to it, and her audience sees this game for what might be the first time, the audience might react to it as if it's a Gunner game when it's not. That is a problem. One of my main issues with the way this whole situation was handled is, I'm gonna be real, it's not a Gunner game. It's a game that, frankly, gameplay comes first. Are there sexy outfits in it? Sure. In this one clip, the character was a dancer as part of their character, and the individual behind the controller angled the camera upwards and focused on the way she was swaying and dancing, again, as part of her character.
Yeah.
It's all female characters aren't like that in the game. Not all characters have those outfits in the game. So that was a misrepresentation of the game. And then Melanie Mack, and not just her, others on the same side of that aisle, put it out there and showed this to an audience that probably hadn't heard of it or may not have heard of it. And now they think it's a good game. That's audience perception. And that audience perception was, it led an audience astray, or a potential audience astray, because of out of context information.
Right. So, this may be just my way of viewing the world, very likely, because I'm not like most gamers in the sense that I actually do this really weird thing called trying the game for myself. And I don't, maybe because I'm much more of like a Yahtzee kind of gamer, which is that I just enjoy the game for myself and I don't feel a need to talk to everybody else about it or share what I like.
That's why I don't stream video games. To be fair, I don't stream video games. Gaming is my me time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll talk about it with my friends. I'll talk about it on stream, but I don't stream games. So gaming is my me time. I don't need to share that with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So that's more Melanie's kind of reaction. I mean, the fact that she streams her own games, or whatever. But my perception from that is, when I look at that statement in itself and go, "Is this what gamers want?" I, as a gamer, is to go, "No," because this is not showing me anything other than a chick waving her ass. Like, that to me is not a game. That's just like a small feature of it. But there's no gameplay that makes me go, "Oh, I want to play this," because I'm just seeing a chick shaking her ass. So when everyone just like gushes over that,
in a similar but different way to you, I took that statement, "Is this what gamers want?" as in, do you want a return to characters that have outright femininity as opposed to man jaws? Yes, now, is that going to is a character model going to make me buy a game? Fuck no.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Not despite it. However, on the surface, with just that little clip, now, did I take it wrong? Did you take it wrong? I don't know. People can interpret it a lot of different ways because it was only a 3 goddamn second clip. However, yes, I would like a return to traditional femininity instead of chicks looking like masculine dump trucks.
Yeah, now see, if you took that same clip, right, and the character was kicking the shit out of something with a massive like bazooka, I would probably go like, yeah, because that looks fun. Right?
Now,
but
if you just show me, and the person was doing it with a massive bazooka, but they looked like a dude, it was a chick that looked like a dude, would you say, no, this isn't what gamers want? Because gameplay isn't the only thing. Gaming is still it's an interactive medium. The visuals and aesthetics do matter.
Yes. But the thing is, for me, it's just that you're just showing me a chick shaking her ass. Like, there's no gameplay to that. It's like if you go to like the strippers in like GTA 6 and just say, "Is this what gamers want?" Like, but you're not telling me anything else about the game. You just show me a chick shaking her ass. So my whole is, I look at that and go, this is not a game. This is just titillation. That to me is not gameplay. If you showed me that same character, but again, kicking the crap out of something with like a massive gun and there's like cool enemies, I might have actually gone yes, because it looks entertaining as far as like an actual game is concerned. But just that in itself makes me go like, no. So when everybody else is like gushing over that and there's no gameplay, I just go, yeah, I don't want to see this. And people who advocate for this kind of crap, it's just cringe because they just look cheap. I may be a snob.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. It's very noted that I'm a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan. If they start over-sexualizing Sonic the way the weird fucking corners of the internet do, That's gonna turn me off to the game. I don't need
Yeah,
overly
exactly.
sexual
Yes.
fucking Sonic characters. These are furry generated cartoon characters, effectively.
Yes,
But
exactly, and that's the thing that bothers Melanie as well. I don't think like sex appeal itself is what bothers her. It's just the degeneracy of certain people, and like as a return to, it's just it's that same kind of vibe of everything is now too sexualized, and it's just become the signal that we notice because it's in excess. That's the thing that bothers her, and that's also the thing that bothers me as a consumer, because like that thing is not an indicative of a
now, to be
quality
fair,
marker.
maybe there are things that are becoming too sexualized. I'm not again. That's a whole separate debate.
Yes.
However, in the case of the first Descendant, that's a terrible example to use that she did roll with, because again, there's so much context to it of, again, the outfit being optional, the camera angle being manually moved, the character itself being a dancer. So even if you want to make the argument that games are getting too sexual, that's a bad example to use, because there's already 3 strikes right there that show why this was purely an option as opposed to mandatory in the game.
Yeah, but see, again, it comes like, if I'm just looking at this clip in context, it's like, is this what gamers want? And it's just
Well, no, there is
this.
no context to the clip. That's the problem. So people had to create their own context until people who had the context came out to explain it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is I, as a person who will look at that same take, would just go like, yes, I agree with it. This is not what I want, because this is nothing but just a chick shaking her ass. Like if you said like
I would think that you could extrapolate beyond, okay, this is 3 seconds. There's probably more here. I should reserve an opinion one way or the other until I see actual gameplay. Like that to me would be the intelligent take, is not to say yes or no, but to say this is clearly incomplete. Let's see more.
yeah, but okay, now, but that goes to me to the person posting it.
Oh yeah. Frankly, the person that posted it, Pirate Nation, they're a in my opinion, culture war sort of rage bait, anti woke. Do they post good shit now and again and things that I agree with? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
However, in general, I also think that Pirate Nation very much has an ideological bend, no different than folks like Kotaku or Polygon or whatnot.
Yes.
And I think
Okay.
that is a problem. I think that, like you, the faction wars are retarded, and that not
Yes.
enough folks do their due diligence in trying to parse through what is and isn't authentic
Yes.
marketing or
And-
authentic. And I think
and-
Melanie is a part of that. Unfortunately, is that she doesn't do her due diligence, much like most folks don't these days, and just jumps to, oh, is there a gay character in the game? Then automatically it's demonic. Like, look.
Okay, so can I
not how
just
it
shit on
works.
the whole audience for a second?
I mean, you shit on whoever you want.
Yeah, because the thing is, when I look at that kind of take, I just go, that seems kind of rage baity, but I'm just gonna go like, yeah, I agree with that, and I just don't lose my shit, because at the end of the day, I still just see it as one girl on the internet with an opinion, which is free to have, and I just don't get any more seriously heated on than just that, because I still looked at it as, this is just designed to be titillation, and frankly, I think the like, however, like 10, 15-second long of the chick shaking her ass, that's kind of bait, and it's going to get a disproportionate reaction. And my reaction was just like, nah, I'm all right. I'd like more gameplay, and that's about as far as
let me
I
ask you
took
this though, then, because you've got individuals that follow these Twitter posts, these gaming posts.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Have certain certain ideological bends. When stuff like this is shared about and shared around, it does create conversation. What started this whole Melanie thing didn't start off as attacks. It started off as conversation. And then she took people asking questions. Now, obviously, it's the internet. There were going to be people attacking her. There were going to be people throwing shade.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Let's take Smash JT as an example. Smash never attacked Melanie. He made a live stream saying, you said all this in the past. You're saying this now. These are inconsistencies. What's going on? He didn't attack her in any way, shape, or form, but she took it as an attack. I'm sorry, that I take exception to that, because the internet wasn't really dogpiling you until you reacted negatively to, frankly, some of the same level of stuff that you've dished out in the past. That, again, that level of inconsistency is enough to get people going from having conversation to actively attacking you. She actually didn't make this worse on herself, in my opinion, by reacting negatively instead of having a conversation. When I made that meme, excuse me, when I made that meme about Melanie, and someone responded with a meme in kind that had Grums sitting on the chair, and me, Hypno, Yellow Flash, Smash JT, and Kyle as the black dudes, I retweeted and thought, and said, this is funny. Well played. Like, instead of getting offended that someone said, I want to butt fuck Grums, I was like, all right, good one. That well done.
Yeah, I can't defend that conduct though because I don't really care about that. That's somebody else's offense, and I don't have any sway in that. My whole thing was just
No,
to
but
look
in
at it in the
general, would you
context.
agree? Would you at least agree that her going defensive as opposed to embracing it and opening herself up to conversation was a net negative move for her?
Yeah, I will agree. That's not good PR. But
Well,
my main thing was more just her main argument, which is just, is the titillation not a good market signal? Yes.
well, that
I mean,
argument
that's
unfortunately has been even if that is her argument, that's
is
been
muddied,
muddled and
yes.
lost because of how she has responded to it.
Yeah, but that's why you have people like me defending it.
And frankly,
Somebody
I'm
has to.
thankful, I'm thankful for that. I appreciate that. Jake Martin as well for 10 bangers says, I appreciate you guys talking it over calmly, no matter where folks fall on the issue. Look, I enjoy talking with folks.
These
I
are
enjoy
friends.
conversation. Yeah. Dude, Spoon, I get along. It's a-okay. Like there's again, like
Yeah.
even if someone that I don't ideologically agree with, or frankly, actually don't think you and I agree ideologically whatsoever, but even if someone that I'm vehemently morally opposed to, I think would be a better way to put it, came on the show, like let's say, what's that fucking big booty Latina's name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I would still try and have a calm, rational conversation with her. It'd be very hard because she's a fucking moron, but we'd still try and do the same thing. Jake Martin, for
Likes
you,
white guys. You got a shot, dude.
That's true. We're going to give you this one. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to give you this one from Kata.
Y'all can clip me all you want. I think Alyssa McConaughey has a nice ass, but I guarantee you she doesn't shave her armpits. So I'm good.
I think that's
Why
a
is
fair and
there-
accurate statement, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, right? People aren't being paranoid. The new American vice president is an extremist Bible thumper. Their concerns are valid. And actually, I would push back on this. I don't think that JD Vance is an extremist Bible thumper, because if he was, he wouldn't play Magic the Gathering because that shit is all sorts of quote unquote satanic.
Also, Pence was way worse.
Oh, Pence was way worse. 100% agree. Pence was way worse than Vance. Like, Pence was literally chosen so that the evangelicals who rejected Trump's debauchery would still vote for him.
Yeah, so I'm not really concerned that JD Vance is going to fucking do anything.
That being said, I do appreciate it, Hero Culture. Thank you very much. You didn't need to, but you did. It means the world to me. Blue Collar Loser for a tool banger says, Leon, the Keanu DLC was epic. I just got done. I agree, but it was there wasn't enough of it. Like, we waited all this time for this dope ass Keanu DLC, and it was one level. I wanted more of it. And I also, the audio mixing was off, which made his voice acting sound bad. I was actually worried about him in the movie because of that level. Turned out it was fine, but Sega got to figure something out about their fucking audio mixing. That was terrible. William Richards for a 5. Degeneracy is bad as a statement without qualifying degeneracy is a pointless statement. The context you provided makes the statement idiotic. I would actually agree with this on Zervis. What are your thoughts?
Degeneracy. See, degeneracy to me is how the audience engages with it, from what I can tell from her perspective. And I sort of agree, just by sort of seeing the furry crap everywhere, and generally the kind of people that have... Okay, so I'll give an example. This is something that I think is like a genuine concern for me, is I tell people, the sort of more libertarian argument, in my perspective anyway, is your degeneracy does not bother me, but if you just shove it in my face constantly, then it's gonna piss me off. It's like it's like that Simpsons meme, like with the who's Mr. Burns' assistant?
Smithers. Oh, the one where he's in the strip club and crying and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that for me is like the degeneracy. It's like, I don't care that it's there, but just don't shove it in my face constantly. What is concerning to me is that if you take a bunch of people in power and they tell you, we're not fans of seeing this right now, and you're just gonna shove it in their face constantly, like the rainbow hippies do, it's not a wise idea to piss people off that tell you, we don't want to see this crap if they have institutional power, because if you just shove it in their face over and over again, they're going to hit you with censorship eventually because you just don't take the hint and fuck off. Well, be aware that's a backlash you may face.
No, I don't disagree with that on the surface. However, this brings up the point that so when William Richards said degeneracy is bad as a statement without qualifying degeneracy is a pointless statement. First of all, I do agree with that. Now, what Melanie pointed towards as degeneracy in several of the following statements, videos, things to that effect, boiled down to, for example, women in bikinis. And then many a person pointed out, yo, on your Instagram, you have got video after video after video of yourself in a bikini at the beach. How is that any different? So,
Yeah.
and then now, do you know what Melanie did in response to this?
No.
She deleted all those videos. She lost like I think it was like 49 million. It was 4.9 or 49, one of the two. I don't know if there's a decimal there or not. Either way, once you're in the millions, it doesn't really matter. It's a lot. 4.9 to 49 million views on Instagram by deleting those. So that means either A, she's ashamed she posted these and is actually being. That's what I'm saying. She's either ashamed she posted these and wants to be, as in ashamed of her past self, is being consistent and is removing them, or B, she's removing potential fodder to be used against her as an argument. Now, I don't know which one it is, but the fact of the matter is, she then went back and deleted a bunch of stuff from the past. That again leaves you open to questions and criticism about your consistency, for lack of a better word.
Okay, now just out of curiosity, if you expected somebody to learn from their mistakes, what would you expect them to do?
What I usually do is just I'm usually open and honest about them. I've never deleted I shouldn't say I've never deleted a tweet. If I've gotten some information egregiously wrong, usually what I'll do is quote tweet and say, "Hey, shit, I was wrong with this, my bad." Or on YouTube, I'll make a follow-up video and leave the original video up. I fell for some hard bait one time, was totally wrong about it. Made a pinned comment saying, I was wrong about this. Ignore this video. If you want to watch for entertainment, fine. But just so you know, this is incredibly incorrect. But I've never deleted pictures off of X or Instagram or whatnot, because while there may be some things that I've said or done in the past that are fucked up, it's still part of my past. I don't think trying to hide it is a good look. At least from my perspective, it gives the appearance of trying to be more morally virtuous than you actually are. And I don't jive with that. I don't know what other people would do, but that's my approach to it, is I leave that shit up.
Yeah, because the thing is, for me, if this is maybe a bit of an extreme example, but if you were an OnlyFans girl who went straight, deleting that would be like a sane thing to do. It would at least show consistency in the revelation.
Yeah, in the instance of OnlyFans, I agree, mainly because, not even necessarily because of the consistency with your moral values, but because maybe there's the chance that, if you delete that, it's that much more difficult and inaccessible for, like, if you end up having children or something, so that your children or their friends in school don't see it. And I would be doing it more for, so yes, in the example of an OnlyFans girl, all right, fair enough. I would agree, deleting is probably the way to go. Frankly, Melanie swimming at the beach in a bikini, I'm gonna be real. I don't think she should delete them. I don't think she had to delete them. People have fun at the beach. Swimsuits are fucking normal. Like, I think that I think that is a bridge too far. She's making it work on herself again by doing something like that. Now, were there people that probably cranked it out to her in a bikini? Yeah, maybe. But let's be real. People crank it out to fucking jelly sandwiches. These people are fucking weird. You can't control that shit.
Yeah, that is unfortunately the case, because the way that it's sort of strange, because everyone else focuses on these people as sort of influencers in what they do, and they sort of look at them as thought leaders. And maybe it's because I'm a content creator myself, but I just don't do that. And so I have a very, very different perception from most people, because I just look at this person's takes and go, okay, yes, this take is true. The same way that I looked at Vorsh and just said, okay, well, Vorsh once said that there's too much there's a lot of mental illness in the rainbow hippie community, and we're like, yeah, it's objectively true. I've defended Anna Kasparian when she said sane things every once in a while. I don't watch the Young Turks, but I can go like, yeah, that's objectively true.
I watch the Young Turks not because I trust them or believe them, because I like to be. I don't want to have my information from just one side of the aisle. It's frankly
just
painful.
Watching Cenk freak out.
I mean, we want to talk
about is funny.
Fucking talking about Cenk Uygur. That dude's worrisome, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but that's typically how I sort of look at the world, because if I were to look at somebody's past history for their information and go with consistencies, like, Jesus fucking Christ, you would very rarely listen to anybody with any kind of consistency, because you're too busy worried about what they've said previously. And if you did that, my good God, there's just so much brain space that would get wasted in that kind of shit.
Well, it's not about not listening to them. It's about, like, it's about a level of trust. Like, anytime I have fucked up, which, to be fair, thankfully there hasn't been many times, but anytime I have fucked up, I've come out and said I fucked up. I think the acknowledgement of making the mistake does go to a certain level of easing people's minds and being like, okay, there's some self-reflection there. If you don't acknowledge you made a mistake and there's all these other inconsistencies, then that is what breaches trust.
Yeah. Okay. So this might just be my personal position of how I see the world. I'm basically a drone. I'm much more machine-like than most people, and I can just look at takes at isolation because I don't have time to follow all of these people. They basically just surface on my Twitter every once in a while and go, "Oh yeah," and I basically look at them for like 30 seconds and I go, "Yeah, I agree with this," or I don't, and that's really as far as it goes. I feel like there's a lot more emotional attachment from most people than it is from me because I just looked at the take and went, "Yeah, I agree with that," and that's really as far as it goes for me. I don't know about everybody else.
Like people put content creators on a pedestal when they shouldn't do that, and once something happens, once a scandal happens and it turns out that person's a piece of shit, people go into a tizzy over it because frankly they shouldn't have them on a pedestal in the first place. But like for example, when you've got what was his name? Years ago, Onision. He was a beloved YouTube creator. People thought he was great. He was very famous on the platform, the whole nine. Lo and behold, he groomed some like 15-year-old girl, was like a potential pedophile, was literally, he was arrested for it, if I recall, or if not arrested, he's at least going to trial over. Well, I guess if he's going to trial over it, he would have had to have been arrested. The point is, that was like a game-breaking thing for a lot of people on YouTube back in the day, and that's because they put this individual on a pedestal, and lo and behold, they don't realize that behind the scenes, content creators are just people, no different than actors or rock stars or politicians. They're just people, and people they do fucked up, awful shit. So when you've got somebody, whether Melanie or anyone else, who does have issues with consistency, and you've got a large audience that wants to trust you, I think that's a noble goal to have your audience trust you. I would never want my audience not to trust me because, frankly, I'm blessed to even have them. I can't do this job without them. So I'm going to do my damnedest to always be honest, truthful, forthcoming within the the boundaries of not putting my real life, personal life at risk. I think that is noble for a content creator to do. So when you've got now, obviously Melanie's no fucking Onision. She didn't rape any kids. Hopefully.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
It is still worthy of people being like, fuck, I've trusted her for 3 years. Now all this is coming out. Time to do some evaluation into whether I want to continue, how much trust I want to put in her words going forward, or how much of it is just ill thought out lip service.
Well, maybe she just needs a good guy to actually declare her argument to be more sane. Supposedly that's my job.
I mean, all women would benefit from having males speak for them. Hypnotic, member for 6 months. Thank you so much. Hypno says, you don't see how the girl who has connections with the quartering, who's been louder than Crowder, and eventually the Daily Wire doesn't have power. That is an interesting point.
Yeah, because I don't see any of those people as actually having power.
The quartering,
Daily Wire,
and
yes.
Crowder. Yeah, Daily Wire and Crowder both, I would say yes.
Yeah, but the Daily Wire has how honest can I be on this platform?
Oh, I don't give a fuck. You can say whatever you want. Frankly, I think the Daily Wire is controlled opposition, and they get all their funding from Israel. So.
Yeah. There you go. Case in point. Whereas, as far as I'm aware, Melanie is not some Mossad agent. Now, if she was, I'm gonna go fucking gung ho because that's something that I personally strongly disagree with. That's one of the things I had a disagreement with before. Is when she posted that kind of shit. I was like, I'm the guy with Hadrian in his monocle. Like, like I'm gonna have some disagreements on all that. But those people. No, I don't see how they have power. They just have influence, but power and influence are two very different things.
You have connections. They're different by definition, but they often go hand in hand.
Because that's the thing for me. Power is very different to authority. Power is raw, oppressive coercion. Authority is when there's a certain willingness for you to concede. It must be voluntary. And I imagine that a lot of these people have more kind of authoritative voices. But at the end of the day, it's still up to the individuals. I think the main thing you might want to have an argument with is just why are people so susceptible to what the influencers think? You maybe want people to have more independent thinking. I think that's maybe a conversation for a different day. Because I personally think...
And frankly, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what I would prefer. Yeah. Yes, we can have that conversation a different day because that would be far better. But like, I don't necessarily disagree with your authority versus power statement. However, influence again does affect both. Now, whether you've got you can forcibly influence somebody. At that point, they might not have a choice, but it still meets the definition of influence. Or you can authoritatively influence someone. So influence is just the act of somebody, or is the change that happens because of an apparatus. Now, that apparatus itself could be power or could be authority, but influence is going to come with either one.
Yeah, because the way that I sort of look at it, when I see the quartering and all these people, I go, they have massive audiences, but I always see it the same way that I watch someone like has a TV show. Because it's really weird to me to think that, oh, look, this person that I listen to has other people who follow them. Because then it's not really so much the individual, it's just it's the audience that they have. It's actually that's powering the change. Because if there was the same person,
but how much of an audience, how much of a new audience did Melanie, for example, get? Or and we don't have to use Melanie. We can say Geeks and Gamers, because Geeks and Gamers went on Daily Wire. Quartering went on Louder with Crowder. How much more of an audience did these individuals get after going on these larger platforms that do have influence? Therefore, giving them a slice of that influence. I mean, so in that regard, Melanie, the Quartering, even Geeks and Gamers do in fact have, if not power, we can at least agree on influence.
Yeah, but like, what? See, for me, when I think influence, okay, my thing is, people think politics is downstream from culture. I don't think
you and I have talked that we disagree with that. That culture is downstream from politics. I mean, we agree on that sentiment.
Yes, for me, culture is downstream from power. So when I look at all these people, I go, why is the audience so susceptible to this? And maybe if that is what people believe, they're going to disagree with me because I don't believe in that assessment, that first equation. So there's a very good chance that this is one of the reasons why I butt heads with people, is because they look at all of these influences as having authority in some kind of sense, and I just don't.
Well, that's why before we did this conversation, debate, whatever it wants to be called, before we did this, you and I were in the DMs being like, okay, what is your argument to make sure that it's even worth having a debate? Because if we're not even starting on the same page of disagreement, then we're just going to be talking past one another.
Like, it's going to be a shit show.
If someone comes at you with the argument of politics is downstream from culture, which is an idea you fundamentally disagree with, unless the debate is about why you disagree, then it's not going to go anywhere. So no, that's fair. But I mean, at this point, influencers are called influencers for a reason. It's shitty. I don't like that that's the sort of world we live in. But frankly, I would rather quote unquote normal folks, like even as much as I think Nerdrotic or Melanie Mac or Geeks and Gamers have influence, I still consider them more normal than somebody like Harrison Ford or Hugh Jackman, who at this point who have been multi-millionaire famous actors living in mansions for 20 to 40 years at this point. Like they are far more disconnected than even the most famous. Asmongold is a obvious millionaire, and he still lives in a fucked up shitty house. Like,
I gotta respect him for at least staying true to his roots. That's at least one thing I give him credit for. Yeah, I remember when I said to you before the thing started, this is not going to be a debate. It's just going to be an hour-long shit show of us just talking.
And to be fair, I didn't necessarily doubt you on that. Like the first 30, 45 minutes were very, I wouldn't want to say heated, but they were very, the heads were butting there. But yes, no, I think that there's been plenty of.
I thought it was very calm.
No, that's why I said not heated, but like we clashed, our opinions clashed. So there was arguments, not argument as in it was emotionally charged, but there was a difference of the way we perceive the logic behind it. Gooch coming in with that 5-banger says, I just want to state Melanie does not speak Guchanese, although she does need interpreters for rants and ESL, American Sign or English Sign Language in the corner would be a nice touch. Is that what ESL is? English Sign Language?
Chaps, put it this way. If you think Melanie has undue influence and I can translate her takes into a much more palatable way, you should actually encourage me to do that.
I mean, or while I don't necessarily disagree with that statement on the surface, the thing I would like to urge Melanie to do the most is if you are going to
listen to me more often.
Listen to most men more often that are actually not woke lefty fucking retards, but do not A, use the same tactics of the wokies you've been fighting. B, roll with the punches. If you're going to go on your platform and call people faggots over and over, you can't be upset when people call you a 39-year-old childless, woman past her prime. Like, look, you can't dish out what you can't take. Do what you can to formulate a proper argument, and don't be afraid to take the L. And there's so many folks afraid to take the fucking L nowadays.
I would say that's a disproportionate reaction because I think calling somebody faggots just for sexualization and to have a go at somebody's age and fertility is kind of off. That's just my personal thing. That's a bit tasteless, if I'm being honest.
I mean, okay, maybe not fag. I mean, I think faggots still an incredibly fun word that, frankly, should have more power than it does, or maybe should have less power. Either way, the point is,
yes.
all right. How about telling her audience they are demons and they're going to hell, which again she has done before. Even if she claims it's with good intent. I mean, I've got a tweet up here that she posted today where she said she is doing it with good intent because she wants to see people saved. It doesn't really alter the fact that telling your audience you're demons and you're going to hell if you don't agree with me. There's a better fucking way to phrase that. That's not exactly.
Yeah.
I've never gone to church because, right? Like it's as a Christian, I went to a Falling in Reverse concert last February, and the Westboro Baptist Church was outside it, and I got a picture taken with all the God hates fags people, and there were a bunch of fucking trannies and furries and shit like shouting in their faces. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, you're not going to convince anyone to go to church this way. Now, granted, that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to get people to hit them so they can sue them and make a bunch of money. Westboro Baptist Church is a scam. But the point is, fire and brimstone will never get people on your side spiritually or religiously. So maybe cool it with that because that's just bad fucking marketing.
Yeah, I agree.
William Richards for a 5-banger says, bro is so cool in the loop that he's getting into Twitter fights about people being mean to Melanie Mac. Why do you care, bro? It's just their opinion. I'll let you address this one.
Because it's funny. That's really it. Have you seen me getting upset? Have you seen me rage? No, I'm calm as shit. And also, it's really funny just to yell like in caps on Twitter because people think you're actually serious. And the one thing is, Twitter is not a good place for people to be serious, which is why I rarely am. It's why I can yell.
Which is why we're having this conversation now, because
you and
I know I took what you were saying seriously. Specifically, one thing that I found insulting. You took at least one thing I found seriously. So we're like, okay, Twitter is not the avenue for this. Let's fucking talk.
Yes, because we're grown-ups.
And
by the way, I knew the conversation was going to be smooth, by the way.
Oh, yeah, like I said, I didn't have too terribly many doubts because neither of us are the type of individual to yell and scream. And I mean, again, I'll do that on SNH with my buddies and whatnot because it's fucking fun and funny and for entertainment value. Yeah. But this is a different format than SNH, for example. SNH is a bunch of guys getting together, having a laugh while talking shit about modern politics and modern culture and whatnot. No different than we'd be doing if we were fucking playing Magic in my apartment or watching wrestling together or whatever. As opposed to this is a semi-serious but also fun conversation that hopefully is going to be beneficial for individuals of either side. And again, I won't lie, I was a bit annoyed that Melanie unfollowed and then 24 hours later blocked me because for the last 2 years, again, we'd stream together. She'd followed me. We talked about recipes. We fucking shared carnival recipes, things like that. And then over the course of one disagreement, she goes full again. I think the comparisons to Alyssa Mercante are pretty fair because she goes full. Oh, these people are attacking me. Like homie, people call me a faggot and lofty pixels and all and disagree with me and talk mad shit on the reg on X. Like, I don't think she's used to having people disagree with her. I think that's a problem with audience capture.
I mean, I can't speak for myself. I mean, my audience have had a go with me for this, and I doubled down, tripled down, and I told them to eat a dick. I will say, because I said this to him in private, I will call Hypno a faggot for saying I can't engage in good faith. That pissed me off. And comparing me to Andy Pants Gaming, get the fuck out of here. That was a cheap shot. Like, how the fuck am I like that guy?
I don't know much about Andy Pants Gaming aside from his bad faith attacks on Hypno. So, I mean, I've never watched an Andy Pants Gaming video, but yeah, what Andy Pants Gaming said Hypno was fucked up. I will absolutely defend Hypno in that. And frankly, I'll defend Hypno for anyone that comes at him if Hypno is in the right. Because again,
yeah, but if you accuse me of that shit, I'm gonna take issue.
Well,
like if you have no way of knowing what I'm gonna be like in debate and you call me bad faith before it even starts, I'm gonna fucking take aim at your head.
Well, that sounds like a fun conversation between you and Hypno, but at the end of the day, like I said, I will not take my friend's side for the sake of them being my friend. I'm going to take their side based on whether they have the correct argument or not, which is why I have disagreed publicly with Hypno or with Smash JT. And when they are correct, I will 100% go to bat for them. What Andy Pants Gaming said was completely fucking retarded. What Brisket for the Biscuit said and what McDizzle said are all retarded. They are all a bunch of dumbass fucking faggots who, look, people can say whatever they want about Hypno, in terms of his content. He ain't a fucking grifter. There's folks that and JDA did this as well. This is a big fucking problem I had with JDA, is that JDA wants to say, oh, YouTubers are talking shit about me while collecting super chats while I'm with my family, trying to play this moral superiority game, when, motherfucker, you didn't have any problem with Hypno when you came on the show literally a few months ago, and you got to shill your book and talk about all this cultural degradation that you hate so much. So all of a sudden now, when you are the target, because again, you have opinions that we disagree with, now you're ready to burn a bridge and whatnot. Like, I'm sorry, that's skeevy, shady bullshit. So yeah, no, I do take offense to people trashing Hypno, calling him a grifter, things of that effect, because you might not like his methodology, fair enough, but when you got actual grifters out there that do effectively are just chasing that bag, and the moment the cultural winds shift, they're going to change their opinion. Nah, fuck that. That's disingenuous.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I just don't like someone calling me lack of bad faith, or someone calling me bad faith when they have no evidence. Like, that's gonna piss me off. If you make a claim against me, you fucking better back it up.
And did I not say the same thing about you earlier before we did this debate, when you and I were not debate, but conversation, when we were talking to the DMs? Because let's be real, you and I have known each other for a while now, and I've seen you take debates, Twitter conversations, things of that effect, and use them for massive takedown videos on X. And because again, you've also got influence and followers and whatnot. Maybe not to the extent like Melanie Maggies and gamers, but you do.
Please don't say that. It's cringe.
Whether it's cringe or not, truth is truth. And so it's like, well, if this is going to be a content farm conversation, then I'm not interested. Now, you and I, like adults, had conversation, and we're like, yo, it's not what this is. If you think that's what this is, even that's insulting. So like, you and I hashed that out, and like, we were able to have this, continue as friends, be able to make the conversation and whatnot. But yeah, that is when you make and not you as in you personally, you as in the royal you, when you make your living on X, at least in part commentating on other creators, there is going to be an air of, oh, is this person using me? And and that's, I think, a fair fear to have. That's why if larger creators decline ever coming on my show, I don't take offense to it, because like, yeah, they might think that little 6K sub guy is trying to use their 350K subs for some sort of clout. And now, would I ever do that? No. But if someone's worried about that because, everyone is always out to get something from someone else because that's the way the fucking game is played, unfortunately, yeah, that's a valid fear and concern to have. Can't knock it.
I don't think I've done that for anyone except for Actman. And to be fair, I had a very good reason, because he pissed me off with something very stupid. I think the only time I did that with him
I don't remember your Actman one. I do remember your what's that fucking faggot that had the Blanca from Street Fighter logo?
Oh, the Birdman.
Yeah, Birdman. I remember you absolutely eviscerating Birdman. And when you and I were having this conversation in DMs, that was my thought, was I ain't going to be another Birdman. This shit going to be real.
Yeah, but,
I ain't going to get... go for it.
I'll explain that. It's because I didn't know him. I didn't see his Twitter account. I just looked him up because someone in my comment section just said, you should see what he said about Drinker. And I just watched the video. And typically speaking, if my audience tells me to do a video on something, I tend to just listen to my own audience, because that's typically how I do with things. And I watched this video and went like, this is so riddled with inconsistencies. I didn't even go at him. I just had to go with his takes. And he took it personally and made like a whole bunch of bullshit videos about me, or just made one like long video about me. And it was so riddled with inconsistencies and bullshit that I went like, okay, considering you skipped a whole bunch of my video, I'm just going to fucking crucify you in a 2-hour just murder fest.
Which don't get me wrong, was a hilarious fucking video. But by the same token, I was also like, that shit ain't gonna fucking happen to me. you got to protect your neck. But also, you and I do have an established history that you and him don't have, so that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. The one with Actman, it's just because he put up a post after the Andy Pence gaming thing where he said, I'm interested in discussing the woke thing. And I went, you didn't address it in Andy Pence in any way whatsoever. You just basically laughed at him, which was enough to...
No.
Yeah.
But then... and Right, I want to get back to these super chats and guys in the regular chat. I'm sorry that I've been ignoring you guys and whatnot. We gotta get through these supers, then we'll get back to you and whatnot. But as far as Atman goes, yeah, no, fuck him. He is the definition of, in my opinion, a grifter. He does switch his opinions depending on which way the cultural winds are blowing. He does only interact with individuals of a certain size audience. It doesn't matter that that since my inception on YouTube or since Cassie's inception on YouTube or again possibly yours, we have been consistent in talking about why these are issues. He'll only talk to folks of a certain size. He will switch his opinions depending on what the cultural flavor of the day is. If people were all against the first descendant and everyone took Melanie Mac's side, he would have taken her side.
Yeah, because I remember he put up a post after that, and V challenged him to a debate. Now, V would absolutely murder him. V would destroy him with ease because this is something that V's good at. And I just posted up a picture of the Canary from Veilguard, and I just want to explain this. Because, like, if you've seen what the Canary looked like in Dragon Age 2, if you've seen what the Arashog looks like versus that fucking abomination, like, give me a break. And he just went, I'm not the art director. And I went, his audience had to go and like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, that was just letting the mask drop. And that was like that was the one time I had to go with it for that, because that's just cheap shit.
No, and again, that's a reason that I would take, again, not trying to fucking simp for Asmongold. I know you said I wouldn't say it, but we're almost 2 hours in. I'm using it on myself. But fine. No, like reason that people call me a simp for Asmongold is because, frankly, I agree with him a lot of the time. Not 100% of the time. When I disagree, I absolutely call it out. But he and I are both very similar in that we don't necessarily ride a party line. So sometimes he says shit that's a little more liberal. Well, I agree with in theory. Sometimes more right wing. I agree in theory. And and I'll talk about that. But like at the end of the day, if he says dumb shit, I'm gonna call that dumb shit out. And that just speaks to, you can have opinions on both sides without, quote unquote, being a grifter or a flip flopper if you are giving her honest thoughts. And Atman at no point comes off as genuine. There's the difference.
Yeah, I will say this. The problem with the sort of this sphere in general is that if you're going to influence people, you go to like a news event because that's where all the eyeballs are. This is just how it works in like any media sphere. You basically show up to any kind of event and yell your own opinion in the hopes that some of the eyeballs currently looking at it also looks at you. That's basically what you do. And
okay, question before we move to the next super chat. Do you want to influence people?
Yes, but I wouldn't say in a sort of modern cultural sense. Because I'm a monarchist, so I want people to think old world.
Okay, so is your and I know the answer to this, but I'm asking in case there are folks in the audience that might not watch you before, might just be part of my audience, whatnot. Is your entire channel's existence based on the idea of influencing people towards that mentality?
Not really. I would
I would say no as well. We'll go on.
Yeah, because for me, I just sort of looked at the world and went, there's a lot of stupid stuff that I want to talk about, just from a perspective of this is not the only way. And you can also look at the world outside of the current left and right paradigm, because I find it to be quite cringe. And so I would say my main thing is just looking at it from a previous century's perspective, because it's much more interesting, I think.
Now, in regards to the Melanie stuff, when you had these conversations with her, you have these opinions with her, and frankly, you've said a great deal on this show, like, hey, I agree with you, she did XYZ wrong. I would have done it differently. While I agree with her overall sentiment, she did XYZ wrong, bad PR, whatever it may be. Why are you, and it's in a judgment, but I am curious, why wait until just now to say that as opposed to saying it publicly up to this point?
I've been doing it on my channel.
Okay, you haven't been doing it on X or whatnot.
I've been defending her for like the last month.
No, I know you've been defending her. But my point, so in that defense, has there also been criticism of her methodology?
My audience seems to be more focused on the hypocrisy angle, and I've tried to explain to them repeatedly, it doesn't really go really well, is that they are more focused on the person giving the take, and I'm much more concerned with the take than the person, which to me is kind of strange that my audience reacts to that.
My question about the methodology, whether it be the person or the take, the methodology that the person, so a person chooses a method to give their take.
But this is my point. They don't really focus on the method. They just look at the person. The methodology is more what they seem to focus on as far as the individual is concerned. Whereas I don't look at the person so much as I look at what they actually said and what is the end goal that they're advocating for. I don't really care so much about the influence in this kind of sense because because to me, when people say influence, I always think of like hard power, of they're going to use state power. Because when the main thing people talk in the sense is censorship. And censorship, to me, requires top-down power. And I look at these people and go, well, they don't have any of that. So when they speak about this great paranoia, I'm like, I just don't see any of this. And so that's like a concern that my audience has that I just don't, because it's not real.
Is your audience predominantly American or European?
Yes, they're Americans.
Okay. I assume as such. I just wasn't sure. Gord comes in with that 5-banger, says, Melanie did say some people can lust over a pumpkin. And while I don't encourage this, I agree with it, and it's not my fault I look this way. Gord, what would we do without you?
Stop it. Get some help.
I love you, Gord. Thank you so much, brother. Devil Max, member for 7 months. Thank you so much, brother. I'm glad I caught this stream today. It's great to see content creators have a good conversation. Simone and I always have a good conversation when he's on, even if we disagree, which, to be fair, does happen a lot. It's always a good conversation, at least in my opinion it is. So, Means of Destruction coming in with a 5-banger. I have more information now, so the moral of the story is people were offended on the internet.
Yeah, basically. Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
It does boil down to people being offended on the internet, but more, I wouldn't even say offended. I say people are feeling betrayed, which I guess is a form of offended, but it's a specific type of offense because the feeling of betrayal. First, which even again, I think somewhere where Spoon and I are going to disagree. I feel like that feeling of betrayal is 100% justified. But yes, people on the internet are feeling offended, betrayed, and they are being vocal about it. Now, whether they're going about it the right way or not, I don't know, don't care. The fact of the matter is there is an overarching feeling of betrayal from many people on the Gamergate side that spent the last X amount of time aligning with them.
That might be you guys, but I can't. It's not my place to speak on that because I don't feel that. So I can't speak to a feeling that I'm not privy to. That's just my perspective.
I don't feel betrayed by individuals like JDA, JFT, the quartering individuals like that, because I already have had well, maybe not the quartering. I haven't had any sort of interaction with him, but I have gone rounds with JDA and JFT. So at no point did I ever feel betrayed by them. I did feel betrayed by Melanie on the level of, so like I explained earlier. Whoa, you're telling me that we have a single disagreement and now persona non grata? That to me is a betrayal of the of two things. One, what was supposed to be anti-woke message of it's okay to have differences of opinions. We can still have dialogue, conversation the whole night. We can still make jokes, everything like that. And also betrayal of the Christian mentality, again, of which I'm a part of, loving thy neighbor and not judging, not casting the first stone, leaving that to God. So I felt betrayed on those two. But again, that's my anecdotal personal thoughts on the Melanie thing.
I will say this. I have a lot of people in my ear. And a lot of people should talk to each other. And most of the time, I feel like I'm the middleman in a lot of conversations with people. I know a lot of dirt on quite a fair few people. It's by the grace of God I'm not nice enough, but I can wreck a whole bunch of fucking people in this sphere. I don't do that shit. It's also why I don't get involved in it.
I'm actually, is it like,
no. It's like,
go for it.
No, it's like legit. I could fucking wreck some people.
No. I'm saying these people are doing it to one another. You say you're being the middleman. Are they shit talking one another? Or are they making jokes?
No, they're legit like some private things between people. And one of the reasons I don't like talking about people outside of their fucking takes that they have on the internet is people take the shit way too seriously. And the faction warring is fucking cringe and gay. And it makes me not trust people. Because I don't like it when I have two people that I would normally agree with and they're shit talking each other. I'm like, can you please leave me the fuck out of this?
I can think of at least one example of having to deal with that on my side of the fence. And so yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah. And frankly, at least in my respect, I don't believe in saying anything to someone that you wouldn't say to the other person's face. Like, for example, I wouldn't betray the privacy of the person I was talking to. I'll just say what I said. But like, yeah, I 100% was like to someone else was like, yo, spoon simping for Melanie Mac. Like I said that, I said that. I'm pretty sure I said that publicly. I said that on X. So like the shit talk that I said publicly. Now if I say it behind closed doors as well, it doesn't really matter. I said it publicly, and I will, whether I'm right or wrong, whether I need to defend the opinion or whatnot, I won't say anything to someone's face that I'd say behind closed door, because that's fucking bitch made beta behavior.
Yeah, I don't mind that insult. It's just that when everyone says it just becomes annoying through repetition. It's like being poked repeatedly. It's like after a while, I'm just gonna hit somebody. It's like, can you give me like another insult, please?
Let's see, we got Writer 1964 here. Hey Spoons, I see you on here having a silly conversation. And did you have your morning whiskey yet? Yes. Did you have?
When do I ever not have silly conversations? I don't yell at people.
I thought you were going to say, when do you ever not have whiskey? Because that was the joke. I believe that was the joke I made on my show. Was like, I only drink at night unless I check Spoon's drinking if he's not asleep. I don't even know if that's true. I just thought it's not funny to say at the time.
No, that actually is fairly true. And yes, I've been polishing some cask strength whiskey during this entire conversation. So I'm not sober.
I'm still mostly sober, but I'm on my third glass. I'll probably kick in before my next stream in about an hour and a half. So,
yeah, you're good.
Maldi for a 10. Maldi, nice to see you, buddy. I appreciate it. Here's my only problem with Mel's stance. She is using her version of Christianity as a weapon against those who disagree. Lashing out like Shia has been doing doesn't fit her ideals. I do agree with this unequivocally. And in fact, I said as much on SNH yesterday. So you and I can have a talk about this. You can give your thoughts on it. But I do think she's doing this, and I think it is doing a disservice to her views, to herself, to her religion, the whole nine. I think that at least what's transpired in the last few days has been a bad has been bad for her Christian faith.
You want my take on that?
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would just think, and this is something I agree with Andrew Wilson, is when he said, it's not enough to destroy people's worldview, you have to give them a replacement. And I would say one thing I sort of don't like about Christians in this timeline, and this is something that Dave Green said on Twitter, which people should follow. Dave Green's good people. Is
the Christians let the woke shit happen?
No. It's more the sense that as Christians nowadays, they're arguing for a value system that doesn't have a competent place in the very materialistic worldview that they reside in. I do agree with a lot of the Christian ethics, naturally being one myself, but I can understand that if you try to market it now, the hellfire and brimstone argument, while it has merit, I don't think it's really a good marketing pitch for the current time, because what you're trying to argue for is actually a cultural shift that needs to happen more organically through like church leaders and not so much through the permeation
not
of
even
culture.
Necessarily church leaders, but also just leaders that adhere to the value systems of Christian teaching. Like regardless of how the US is running in practice, in theory, we are biblically based. You look at our Constitution, you look at the rights to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We are a biblically Christian-based government with the idea of making our rules based on the morals of Christianity, but however, keeping it secular to avoid church influence on the state. Now, I know that you probably would want church influence on the state. I would not. I think my religion should be between me and God, and that be it. But that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, I would agree with you in essence, but there's a particular passage of the Bible that I like, and it's new. Also, you bring up the fire and brimstone. Fire and brimstone, that's some Old Testament shit. People don't realize the Old Testament is historical. It is meant to be to be read, to be studied. But the New Testament comes about to effectively replace the Old Testament. Jesus is basically saying, that fire and brimstone shit done. No more eye for an eye. Now it's about love, forgiveness. That doesn't mean accepting sin or just going along with sin, but it means, again, back to methodology, all the Melanie Mac stuff, the method in which we move forward to get the grace after we die is no longer based on eye for an eye and fire and brimstone. And that is, there are too many modern day Christians, and I do think Melanie's part of this, lean too heavily on the Old Testament.
Yeah, for me, I would say, specifically as a guy, you need to make Christianity more masculine. That would be the main thing, is that you need to have more authoritative leaders in good positions of power. I probably would advocate for more
Now, you
top-down
use
power.
authoritative, and that is earlier you mentioned how there's a difference between authority and power. We don't need
Yes.
more authoritative. What we need, at least by my understanding of how you defined the two earlier, we need more masculinity in positions of authority, not more masculinity in positions of power, because power is without choice. It is by force.
Okay, no. Let me just distinguish the difference. Authority and power in the sense of how you frame how it's being used. Someone in position of power, like a king, has authority, but someone who is using power just in the raw sense is trying to impose it. But if, like, for example, the head of your family has authority,
Mhm.
but someone like a politician is in a position of power. Do you understand the difference?
So I understand the difference. Now, which one are you saying that how should the church and church, specifically the church leaders, not the church itself, be executing authority and or power?
In position of power, I would say is like someone the head of the church. They're in a position of power, but their authority is still respected. Like it's not mandatory, but you should listen to the head of the church
Right,
because they're a
bingo.
good
It's
influence in the
not
community.
mandatory. People are following the
Yes.
authority, not under threat of
Yes.
force, but under belief.
Yes, but they should recognize that is a good authority to follow.
Yes, no.
It's
I would agree with that one. That's
yes.
why I said that based on your earlier definition of
Yes.
power, I think authority is a much better word to use. And yes, while there should be a level of power, that power should actually probably come from God, and the authority comes from those speaking through him, preaching the whole nine. And the authority comes with being a respected leader that has influence because of their respect.
Yeah. So I would say what needs to happen in our society is that, okay, first of all, that power. Okay, if I was going to go full top-down power, I would say remove all women from any positions of authority, especially in the state. Women are in no position to be in any part of government. That's one firm belief that I will hold to, and I will openly say that. And I've said this in gaming as well. If you want to fix gaming, get rid of all women in the production. You will clean up gaming within a year, easily. I'll bet my life on that. The biggest problem that you have in any spaces is women need to shut the hell up and know their place. And if it's any position of authority, like, no, that's for men only.
See, and this is again where we disagree, in that where I would agree with you in the 95% of cases, I do think there's that 5% of women that do skew so male, so masculine, or whatnot. They do actually have the same way that you've got dudes who are fucking sissy ass beta bitches. There are going to be women out there that go against the statistical norms. I mean, again, we've seen the studies done over and over, even in chimps. Male chimps, they prefer the trucks. Female chimps, they prefer the dolls, things like that. But there are going to be instances of the female chimps. Damn it. Sorry. Maldy Bird is on the keyboard. There are going to be instances of female chimps, as rare as they may be, that do prefer the trucks. Those women, in my opinion, by all means, let them lead just like a man so long as they can hang.
I will say, though, something that I've noticed with those types of women is they are more conservative than a lot of the guys. And those women, because they have brains, will just go, okay, I understand that I may be smart, but for every one of me, there's like 10 bitches. And so from a purely math game, they can understand that if I give up power, I will also knock out 9 women that will just do dumb fuck shit. And so they will happily give up their influence and authority because they recognize that the men that they will replace, or the men that will replace them, actually have a better overall influence. This is why a lot of the women
only if you have that's only if you have a culture that already, because if she steps down from power, what's to stop one of the other 9 bitches from trying to vie for it? You have to already have an established culture that values masculinity. And if you don't have that, then that woman, if you have an egalitarian system, then you do actually need those women to keep the other women from having power. You do.
Yeah, that's my problem, is that if you went a patriarchal route, then you would. I don't see how this is going to happen organically, and women are never going to willingly give up power. That's why I'm like,
minus a cultural reset, a la the minus an extinction level event, a massive world war, something like that. I don't see the era of a patriarchy ever coming back to the Western world.
I do, but
not
I see
naturally.
it. Yeah, I don't see it. Well, women are never going to go power voluntarily. It's probably going to be through some force because women are not terribly bright in that sense. Some offense intended because you need to be offended. Let's be real.
Real quick, William Richards, I want to hit this chat real quick, even though it's not a super chat. It says, you can't seriously be saying no women in positions of power because they're too soft, while saying judging other people for sinning is too mean. I don't know where anybody said judging other people for sinning is too mean. I was talking about, I don't know if this is directed at me or Spoon, but I was saying that just biblically speaking, judging people for their sins just goes against the teachings, and that's what Melanie has been doing. Or maybe I was directed at you, and if so, I also don't get the criticism because I don't know what you said that would correlate to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused myself as well.
Okay, so it's not just me. Just want to make sure. Smash coming in with that 20 banger, homie. Thank you so much. Great conversation, guys. Oh, Smash, you know what? We're going to give you this one right here.
Utram Shredder? Sounds Swedish.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Can't you guys be serious about anything?
Thank you so much, bud. It has been a fun, great conversation. I'm sure, at least as these super chats go, there'll be more to come. We'll probably end up wrapping it soon. We thought we were going to go for probably an hour. We're over 2 hours in. I have another stream coming up, but it's another hour and a half, so we got a little bit of time. We got some buffer. Kyle Barra coming in with that 5-banger. Remember, the Wokies didn't have a top-down power to begin with either, and it gained it when people were complacent in what they were doing and slowly get. Now, all right, here's my problem. This is twofold. One, I do believe, at least in the West, which is predominantly Christian, because of the Christian philosophy of turning the other cheek and whatnot, we let a lot of them in because it was our religious teaching, and that, hey, we need to be accepting, we need to be loving, and because of that, not enough motherfuckers gate kept. So yes, the Wokie didn't have top-down power. The Wokies didn't have top-down power. Frankly, us religious folk actually gave them that power by
being complacent.
By being complacent in the teachings. Like, there does have to be a hard line of gatekeeping. That being said, I do agree that just like the Wokies gained power, an extremist an extremist mentality or an extremist movement can also gain power. We've seen this happen in the Middle East. We see this happen with with Muslims. And let's be real, old world Christianity wasn't too terribly different. Now, I think the Spoon might prefer that old world Christianity version, but at the end of the day, to me, extremism is extremism, and I'm more of an all things in moderation kind of guy.
Yeah, I would say the world is never as ideal as you would like it to be. And so you have to recognize that whole thing of, hey, look, we can both agree that the gun is in the middle and we never use it. Yeah, that's not the way the world works. The reality is one of you needs to grab that gun and put it to their head and go, fucking move or I'll blow your head off. Because that's the world you live in right now.
Yeah, I would agree that's the way the world works, is that the gun's on the table and both sides are sitting and waiting patiently until the other person drops their guard and is able to, because you can't just lunge for the gun, because then both people lunge for the gun. You need to be strategic in how you get the gun, and how does that strategy play out? Say it again.
Someone needs to hold the sword. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. It's not a nice idea, but that just is the unfortunate reality, whether people like it or not.
And that has been the case with just humanity, even prior to Western civilization. I mean, even in tribal societies, back in the era of fucking the Cro-Magnon man or Neanderthals or early hominids, even they operated like that, only to a much smaller degree, since they were just that small tribes. But that is human nature. That is how we've evolved, and frankly, that mentality is how we became the apex predator and evolved the way we did. So,
woo. Imperialism.
And last but not least, Allison Blunderlane with that 10-banger. I just want to say, never underestimate the power of social media influencers. They do have a lot of power to influence people's behavior, especially if their audience isn't willing to do research. Bingo, bango, bongo. How many of y'all motherfuckers? I ain't judging you for it, by the way. I can't think that I've ever done this, but I know a lot of people have. How many of you have bought something because an influencer, even if it's a good product like let's say NordVPN. I don't know if NordVPN is a good product or not. I use Surfshark, but let's say you're like, you know what? I do want to watch Netflix shows that are in Canada and I'm in the US. Let's go ahead and use NordVPN, and let's just use sponsor, / Asmongold for the discount code. Like, everyone has bought something that an influencer has peddled. Not everyone, but a lot of people have. They 100% do have power, whether we like that's the way the world works or not. It is unfortunate.
I will approve of that person just because that's an actual Alice in Chains album.
Which one? Oh, Alice in Blunderland?
And Alice in Blunderland is their live album, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that. I call myself an Alice in Chains fan. I didn't know that. Damn. Negotiate in good faith, but always have a club near your hand when your opponent decides to play by different rules.
Yeah,
Hard agree.
That's a good life lesson.
I haven't bought merch, but was tempted. Fair enough. I've been tempted. I don't think I've ever bought merch either. But I have been tempted. Sadly, but I sadly bought Isom 1 too because I thought Air July was pretty all right back in the day.
But do you like the product that he produced?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. Like me, I like Eric July on his libertarian ideals. A lot of them are in line with mine. I've never once bought his product just because it's I've never once bought one of his products, period. But I certainly have not bought one because it's an Eric July product. Now, I have no affiliation with Eric July. Now, Mugen Lord came on my show recently, and I did buy his comic. Now, I would have bought it regardless because he's my friend and I want to support his business. But upon hearing the pitch, reading through it, looking at his advertisement and whatnot, it is inherently something I would read, something I would like. So that was, it was like, okay, if I had seen this at the comic book store, I would have bought it anyway. So the fact that I'm buying it because you're my friend is sort of a non-issue because it's something that does genuinely interest me. But I think it's a little bit different when the person actually has a actual relationship with you as opposed to just being someone on the internet you watch.
I like him. He's good people. I was DMing a couple of hours ago.
Oh yeah, no, Mugen is a sweetheart, one of my favorite people on the internet. I prefer subliminal messaging, like being hit with a pan that leaves a brand mark on my scalp. Yeah, guys. This came in. Remember for 2 months. Thank you so much, Flash Phoenix. Why do non-Americans think they are worth anything more than the worms in the dirt? It's so confusing. We're number one. You got thoughts on this, Phoenix? I know that you have sentiments about America.
Why do non-Americans think they're worth more than worms in the dirt? Your entire country wouldn't exist without England. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but England also used to effectively rule the world, and now you guys are just an island, and you're letting Muslims run it. So
yeah, but I'm not English. I don't live in England either.
You're South African. That is true. You're not actually English.
And we don't like the English either.
Let's go for the males. Oh, Batman Arkham. Wait, what? Batman Arkham series at stake. Fighting games are at stake. JRPGs, ARGs, hell, Western RPGs, Elder Scrolls Fable. Oh, we can't play Perfect Dark. I'm not sure. I think you're saying they're taking masculinity out of gaming, and that's a problem, which I would agree with, but I'm not entirely sure that's what you're saying, just based on the way it's worded.
It's kind of weird because the male characters almost always look great.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. Like even nowadays, I don't play a lot of games that have bad male characters. Just they prop up bad female characters to the point where they're the focus instead of the male characters that are there and good. Like even the most woke games tend to have decent male characters.
Yeah, I made a joke a while ago in a video where I just said, ironically, it looks like our society is massively against women because of that. Because if I were to just look at, let's just say I was an alien and I came down to society and I saw how women are marketed versus how men are marketing. The women look out of shape, they have cellulitis, they don't look very feminine, and all the males have giga chat jawlines and six-pack abs. Like, this society clearly likes males because all the male depictions are phenomenal.
Honestly, no, I can agree with that 100%. Big Ship coming in with a 5-banger. Big Ship, thank you so much. Please use this to buy a Hondo, a Big Mike 2028 wife beater. I am actually going to be buying a bunch of Hondo outfits so that when we hit certain tier goals on Countercast, I can dress them up live for you guys on stream, and we will have a maybe he'll be in a tux or a frog outfit. We'll see. Without America, the world would be Muslim or Chinese.
No, I disagree with that.
Trying to think if I disagree with that. Because let's be real, the Crusades kept the world from being Muslim, and that was European. Yeah. Chinese, that might be a risk for the future, but I don't think it's been a risk in the past. If anything, it's what kept us from being like German and Japanese. take a sec, think an American for our freedom. Let's wait till
Your
tomorrow
version,
before we acknowledge this. Let's
Yeah.
wait till Inauguration Day. I can't wait to fucking stream on Inauguration Day. That's gonna be so great. But yes, thank you so much for the 199 Flash. I truly appreciate you. Spoon, you got anything? Any other final thoughts before we round this out?
Not really. The conversation was civil, which is not a surprise. I knew it would be, because I knew you and I wouldn't jump down each other's throats because we're blokes. And I typically do not get angry on somebody else's show. It's not. I know I come off very aggressive on Twitter because it's where you get to have fun and say wild shit. Whereas if I'm in somebody else's show, it's like being in somebody else's house. You don't jump on the furniture and act like a faggot. So,
That's
if you've ever seen me on
my
anybody
thoughts
else's
as well.
show,
I mean,
I'm
you use the
always
word
very
faggot, for
calm.
example. You use the word faggot. You know that I do that on my show, but other people's shows, do I go
Yes.
on there and use their faggot? Not at all, because it's their fucking house.
No,
And I don't want
yeah.
to risk their channel. Like again, you know
Yeah.
I say it on mine, so there's that
Yeah.
no giving a fuck there. But yeah, I agree with you completely. Like there's as much as we want to say, as much as I say, no self censorship, don't censor yourself the whole nine. There does have to be a limit, and for me, the
There's
limit is
limitations, yeah,
other
of course.
people's shows, because you don't want to put other people at risk for your virtues.
Yes. Yeah. And I knew the conversation was going to be calm because anybody who talks to me one-on-one, no one has ever spoken to me one-on-one and when Spoon's a complete asshole. Because, yeah, if somebody comes to me and says, can we have a conversation? I go, sure. However, if you start acting like a jackass, then I might have my guard up and get aggressive. But as far as this conversation goes, nah, it's going to be fine.
Little bit, we'll see what we can do. I will absolutely see what I can find in terms of conure outfits. I've already found several. I just need to actually buckle down and order them. All right. Well, with that, guys, I think we're going to round this out. It's a good conversation. I really do think this is a lot of fun. Damn. You know what? Actually, I got one more question for you. I don't know how much longer this will extend the stream, but we didn't discuss Razor Fist.
Sure.
I feel like that needs done. At least in a quick version. So Razor Fist had what you shared. It wasn't even originally talking about Melanie that got us onto this conversation.
It was the Razor Fist post, yeah.
It was the Razor Fist quote, and that was the thing that you said you don't think that I understand your argument about. I thought I do. What is your argument with the Razor Fist thing? I'm truly curious.
Well, because he had a post, he just said, you have more choices than like Korean trough slop and DEI woke shit. And I'm like, yes. I was thought that's like a fairly normal thing to say.
Now,
so when people had to go at him, I went like, yes. And when people look at his post, he just says, I insist. I'm like, okay, well, he's not like a mob boss. Like, he can't force any change. It's like, for me, if someone says, I insist on this, in the marketplace, it just means I will not buy this unless you give me X, Y, and Z, which is what any consumer does. I don't have this very sort of dictatorial influencer perspective on the market. For me, it's just that a good product will sell, a bad product will die. I'm much more hands-off approach in the market than, frankly, most people, which is a position most people don't ascribe to me because they think I'm some authoritarian psychopath, which I am for the most part, I imagine, for Americans anyway. Europeans, not so much, we get this. But that's sort of how I just looked at it, is when people use these very heavy words, I just don't have this instant emotional reaction. I just think like, okay, what can they actually do? What do these words mean? Insisting is just, I will not buy this unless it has X, Y, and Z, which to me is just what any consumer does.
Well, to that point, Gorking says when Razor said insist, it was another word for demand in the supply and demand sense.
Yes.
So my issue with Razor Fist is actually very similar to Melanie in a sense. And actually, I can ascribe this to you, or what I assume a lot of people do think about you, in that Razor's delivery is very haughty and conceited and cocky, and basically, if you do not agree with me,
much like mine,
you're a moron. Yes, much like yours. So, while I don't inherently disagree with Razor's opinion in this, because yes, we do have more choices. The way you go about it is I think the way you go about, if you are wanting to influence the market or not even influence the market, if you want to get people to recognize a point, the way you produce that point, and the way the method you choose to espouse that point does matter. Like, again, I've said multiple times on this show, I'm a Christian. I make all my arguments when it comes to being against wokeness and whatnot from a secular point of view, because there is inherently a part of the audience you're just going to automatically turn off if they think that you are, if they even perceive the idea of religion, because they're going to immediately be turned off by it because they think all religion is zealotry, which of course is not the case. But so if you're going to have you're going to be able to make if you have a religious view and you have a religious point, you should be able to make the same point from a secular point of view. If you cannot do that, don't make the point. Not now. Razorfist didn't make it from a religious point of view. I'm just saying that's when you have the method of your delivery matters. And Razorfist, I think, he will bottleneck his own audience and his own reach by going about it the way he does.
I do also think that's just how he does things. And I think for some people, they also think you have a good point, but they don't like how it's being addressed. Like, I think Melanie has a point, but other people don't like the pitch. Now, personally, I understood the pitch because, well, it's just what I do. And I don't know, that's just the way that I see the world. With Razor, I think there's a similar point where he just has that fiery kind of retort. And I personally like that. I mean, that's just
I don't inherently dislike it. I like the person, because like Cindy says, he plays a character. I do know he plays a character. However, we've all seen, like, for example, there's in Japan, if you go to buy there's commercials for like Goku from Dragon Ball selling cereal. Well, it's not the actor selling the cereal, it's the character, Goku. So even characters are used so whether Razorfist is playing a character or not doesn't really matter. He's using that character as a way to get a point across or to influence. To market. So that's sort of a moot point. But yeah, I think that Razorfist is hilarious. I think he's witty. I think he's off the cuff. I think that his humor is very highbrow. That being said, he's got the Dennis Miller problem. Are you familiar with Dennis Miller?
Yes.
Dennis Miller, genius motherfucker. Also a bit too big for his britches because he recognizes his own genius and doesn't taper it for people who are dumber than him. Now, you can make an argument whether you should or shouldn't, and that would be an interesting discussion. But I think, at least in some respect, if you're going to do it in a video format and people have the benefit of gesticulations and facial features, by all means, go for it. But in text, when tone is difficult to read and understand, especially if people aren't familiar with you already, you probably should taper it a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose it probably just depends on the audience. From what I can tell, people tend to like the fact that I don't buckle, and I will tell everyone else to fuck off if they disagree.
No, tapering is different than buckling. Never buckle. Just articulate it in a way that idiots can understand if they are not familiar with who you are. Otherwise, you're going to bottleneck yourself. At least that's my thought.
Yeah, but I think that also depends, because I tend to boil things down as basic as I can, and the way I do my content is I try to make it. But that is the difference between you and
Razorfist. He doesn't do that. He takes the utmost pride in using words with 5 syllables.
I tend to do that as well, but I try to make the point as simple as I can, and I still happen to piss people off. I mean, in the last couple of videos that I've had people get very animated in my comment section whilst not addressing anything that I've said, and there's a certain element of entitlement in my audience, and to the point where I just went, okay, look, I'm going to start burning some of you motherfuckers because you're annoying me and you're not actually saying anything that you're not addressing anything that I've said. And when people get lippy in that sense, I will get kind of annoyed. So I think it just depends on how much the content creator is willing to put up with. And lately, I'm like nearing my age.
I would say I gotta highlight the irony of this comment. First of all, Shun Helton, I do find this true and funny, but also this is so grammatically incorrect that you also don't speak normal. Lamal, Razorfist don't speak normal. I'ma be real. That is so grammatically incorrect and modern slang and new speak lingo that you also are not speaking correct or speaking normal. So the hilarity of calling Razorfist out for not speaking normal when you aren't speaking normal is fucking funny to me, even though what you're saying is true. Anyway, I think we'll end on that note because that was funny. That's too good to pass up. Spoon, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you'll be up to as of late, and then let's get some shilling out of the way before we bounce.
Well, give me a second. I got a mouthful of pizza. Hold on a second.
No worries. I only want Razor to dumb it down, rather the audience raise their game. No.
Agree with that.
Don't dumb it down.
Very much agree with that.
Don't dumb it down for your audience. Let me be clear. Don't dumb it because they are your audience for a reason. They come for you. However, on X or any of these text-based platforms where you're going to be interacting with people who have no fucking idea who you are because there's millions upon millions of users, it might behoove you to, again, at least taper the way you speak so that your point gets across. Because if you're making a point and people who don't know your content or aren't familiar with you can't grasp it, and again, in my opinion, that's a failure on you.
Yeah, I will say that is kind of a challenge because, especially if because I'm doing a video on this tomorrow, I'm raising a lot of the same points that I have done here. I would say there comes a point where you sort of, if you've done like multiple videos on the same thing, or you want to add something new, saying the same thing like TLDR of the last video, you tend to make just things longer and tend to piss off people that already know. So it's sort of a balancing act of continuation and not bugging people down.
Yeah, unless I do not cover the same thing multiple times unless I have something new to add. There's new information. Like I made 4 different videos on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That's because and the controversy behind it possibly being fucked up by Disney on the back end. But every single time I made a video, there was something new to add. And that's a very rare thing for me to do is make multiple videos on more than 2 videos on the same subject, because at that point I feel like you're just sort of playing it out for again. Unless there's something new to say, you're playing it out for the algorithm game. Because like I made a video about Sonic because I'm passionate about Sonic. That video hit. I was like, oh, well, that's fucking awesome. And then people will be like, yo, Leon, that video hit. You need to make another about Sonic. I'm like, if there's something new to say, I will. But just because it's algorithmically viable, that's not enough for me. But then there was new information. It's like, oh, fuck yeah. That's 2 birds, 1 stone. It's algorithmically friendly, and I have more to say. And that happened like 4 times in a row. But then no 5th time because there was nothing new to say. And I was like, all right, it's fine by me.
I will say the next video is gonna get me to lose subs because like this is a particular stickler for a lot of people. But I would rather burn people that disagree with me and can't handle it than cater to the mob. That's just my style. I don't care about losing subs. I'd rather be honest.
Oh no, same. I anytime I make a video that, because being in the quote unquote like anti-woke space, the vast majority of my audience is either right wing or libertarian or has right leaning opinions. I have very little left leaning supporters, which is fine. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But I know anytime I make a video that trashes Matt Walsh or trashes Candace Owens or trashes Tim Pool or whatnot, I know I'm going to lose subs, and like that's honestly fine by me. I never want to be part of audience capture. You don't say what you think they're going to want to say. If I lose subs because of something I say, fuck it. I'd rather be consistent and in my own beliefs.
Quite strange because if every time I've had a go at Matt Walsh, that's tends to be quite popular.
For me, it's a mixed bag. It depends on what he's talking about at the time. I've had videos where I thought would absolutely lose me subs, then end up blowing up, and I've had videos where I thought that like, yo, Matt had a very clearly retarded take here. And then I was like, oh, well, apparently maybe I'm like, when he called anime satanic, I was like, all right, ain't no way I'm losing subs for going after Matt Walsh for calling anime satanic. Everyone thinks that's retarded.
Yeah, that is a retarded take.
To be fair, Candace Owens 100% deserves to be dunked on for raging anti-Semite for being a raging anti-Semite who can't take a joke. And you know what? Not even that. The reason Candace deserves to be dunked on, at least in my opinion, is because, at least in my estimation, she's not a serious person. She's actually very similar to the Act Man in that she will either flip-flop on her opinions regardless of depending on where the cultural zeitgeist leads, or she will double down for controversy clicks. Nothing she has said that she's been debunked so many times, I cannot take her seriously. The anti-Semitism stuff, I'm gonna be real, I don't really care about because, frankly, I just don't think she's smart enough to comprehend it one way or the other. Like, I really don't. I think she's just saying ridiculous shit for ridiculous shit's sake, like almost like a pseudo-political Howard Stern. I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, I kind of like her abrasiveness, but yeah, that's just me.
I don't have a problem with her abrasiveness. I have a problem with
I like
with,
the
again, her
unpolished sheen.
um.
But then again, I'm kind of I have some not very popular takes, as monarchy tends to be. So
I see. I will say I don't think she's retarded. I do think she is smart, and because if she was retarded, she wouldn't be successful at what she does. That's like calling Donald Trump retarded. People are like, "Oh, Donald Trump's such an idiot." No, you can't run multiple multi-million-dollar businesses and be retarded. You can't be the face of wealth in America since the 80s and be retarded. She's clearly successful at what she's doing. I just think it's more of a dog and pony show than there is any sort of authenticity to it because she's found a sort of circus that works and an entertainment.
yeah,
We can definitely have this conversation, Sketch. That being said, we really do have to wrap. I have another stream in 1 hour, and I have not eaten or anything yet today. In fact, I probably should have been drinking if I haven't eaten yet. But oh well, it is what it is. Spoon, anything else you got left to plug to give people the floor? Mods, do I have any mods in here to put his channel in? If not, I can do it. But let's see.
I like the way someone, Alice says, I think I actually made a mistake on something from Spoon. Spoon just being himself, unlike certain other YouTubers. Yeah, people should understand about me. What you see on any of my my YouTube channel, that's really me. I don't have anything to hide. This is what I actually believe. I hold no punches. I
There we
consider
go.
to say I consider myself probably one of the more authentic YouTubers on this entire fucking space. I can openly say that hand on heart.
Honestly, I've been pretty blessed in that seems to be the majority of the folks that I say the majority because I have ran into some fucking fakers, but the majority of the folks that I've ingratiated myself with is that I talk to a lot of folks off platform, and they are exactly who they are off screen as they are on screen, with the exception of like, oh, there's certain words I won't say because they'll put my channel at risk. And you know what? I understand that. I disagree with it. I'll still say whatever the fuck I want on my channel, but you know what? I can't argue with the idea of not wanting to get your channel taken down. Beyond that, if you stay and hold the same beliefs, that's good enough for me. Oh, thanks, Dax. You're right. You have been here. I'm retarded. Oh, well, either way, guys, it's time to wrap this. We got Late Night with the Gooch coming up in just 1 hour. Make sure you all go on over there. I don't even know what we're talking about tonight because I've been more or less off the internet today. I've been spending a lot of time off the internet because touching grass is important. But I did release a video on the Melanie Max Smash JT stuff today. So definitely go check that out. It's been performing pretty well. I want to thank Spoon for having this dialogue. I absolutely love it when Twitter beef turns into actual good, full-hearted conversation that not full F-U-L, not fool, full-hearted conversation that can lead dialogue.
It's a bit of both sometimes.
And, yeah, you should be very it's a bit of both sometimes. So if you're not familiar with Spoon, go ahead, check him out. Thank you guys for the super chats, for your opinions. Most importantly, I appreciate that you guys did not have any problem having a go at Spoon. And I mean that with sincerity, because if you disagree and you staunchly disagree, either stick to that, stick to your guns, don't kowtow and cower, or if you actually have your mind changed, be open to that as well. And those are both.
You can have a go at me. That's fine.
Yeah, no,
I will crucify you though.
That's just Spoon's very great arguing, but no, this is a productive conversation. I can't wait to see you all on Countercast on Monday. Jay Viper's our guest. We got so much more to talk about, and until next time, it is all here in the Nervosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.